Green light.
Welcome to Monday night, going in raw. But first, before we get into our show, a word from our sponsor. From director Tim Miller, director of Deadpool and Terminator Dark Fate, and director Elizabeth Banks, responsible for Charlie's Angels 2019. Who Moved My Money? The hit new comedy this week on CW. And now, the High Priest himself, Etep Wakuyan.
Good Monday night. It is time to do a little bit of going in raw right here on Etep Wakuyan's A Place to Be Reviews. I, of course, am Etep Wakuyan P-double-D. Call me whatever you want, but I am here with all yous. Let me introduce the panel for this evening. Still waiting on a guest. We have a special guest this evening, waiting on his arrival. But first, the man in the box to my right here, I'm poking. My brother from another mother, the Groovinator.
Hi, everybody.
What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
And in the box below me, down here, down there, is the Don of 2 Cents Toys. Ladies and gentlemen, hail Salvador.
Hello and salutations. It's me, Salvador, and despite my best efforts, I am still alive.
He's hurting, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit of pain, but what a trooper. He is still here this evening. And last but certainly not least, in the bottom right-hand corner of our screen, Mr. Linkalect7. Alex, he is master of his domain.
I guess this is the part where I'm supposed to say something funny. Okay. WWE's booking.
That is a fucking joke.
That is
I don't even watch the product, and I know that's.
I don't either, but I watch a lot of podcasts, and from what I heard,
yep.
That Saudi show, that sweet Saudi money show, it went terribly bad.
Oh, you know what? Flair X has a point. He says with the KY supply low, it has to be raw when Ruby Rose pokes Pete. I wonder if we can get KY, get KY to sponsor this cast.
I don't even care at this point. If they're willing to throw money at me, I'm fine with it.
Us fans need KY jelly, man.
Whatever, I mean, it happens. Worse things have happened to better people. I'll take it.
It hurts. It hurts on the butthole to watch these things get destroyed.
I'll take it. I will take it. So
that's what you said.
There we go. There we go.
That's what he said.
There it is.
Hey, you see my little hashtag?
Yeah, I see it.
Now we're gonna start a hashtag of our own. Didn't remember that one I was talking about earlier, Pete?
Do it.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have a hashtag release the Captain Marvel Wonder Woman porno.
Yeah, I'm definitely in with that. Like I said, I don't always like my Brie Larson video thumbnails, but yesterday had a certain aesthetic quality to it.
Yeah, I looked for that on the hub. I didn't find it.
I was like, this has got to be out there somewhere.
If somebody hasn't made that yet, you have some grand opportunity, and I would love to be a consultant on that production.
Yeah,
do it, internet.
Yeah, make that shit happen.
Reach out to me.
Jump over here to boxofficemojo.com and check out the box office breakdown for this past weekend. This is weekend number 9, the domestic 2020 weekend, March 1st, going back to February 28th. Let's check it out. Number 1 this weekend, The Invisible Man. $28,205,665 at the box office. Coming in at number 2, being knocked out of that top slot in its third week, Sonic the Hedgehog, $16,261,393, and still beating Call of the Wild.
Oh,
I think Disney's regretting releasing that one.
No, they should.
Yep, that's at $13,362,823. Number 4, My Hero Academia, Heroes Rising, $5,796,862. I had no idea what this was. I guess this is anime. So
yeah,
yep, I didn't know what it was. Number 5, Bad Boys for Life, in its 7th week, $4,350,134. Okay, this is in week number 7. Number 6 is the Turds of Prey and the Fantabulous evacuation of the bowels of one Harley Quinn. With $4,104,283. That steaming pile of shit is a whole spot behind
Fantastic.
Bad Boys for Life, which has been out for 3 weeks longer. I love that. Number 11, Impractical Jokers, the movie, $3,545,000. And number 8, 1917, still chugging along, 10th week in release. That's at $2,710,080. Brahms, The Boy 2, that's number 9.
Shenanigans on that one.
$2,622,542 in its second week of release. And number 10, Welcome to Fantasy
I'm
Island,
calling bullshit on that one too.
with $2,326,378 in its third week of release. That is taking a big old turd, but they only had like a $7 million budget, so that one's gonna make some money, or at least break even. Number 11, honorable mention, Jumanji, The Next Level, $2,181,242 in its 12th week of release. This one I am going to click on because I want to see how much it's made worldwide. $790,929 and $476. So yeah, that's done. That's done. Sony.
Well,
Wow.
unlike that other movie that came out at the same time, it's still in the box offices.
Yep. What movie was that?
A little movie called Rise of something or other. I can't
That's
remember.
right.
Yeah.
They pulled that.
Oh,
They
I
pulled
forgot
that out
about
of.
that.
They pulled that out of the theaters with the quickness.
Rise of
So-
Kathleen Kennedy or something like that.
Yep. All right. So here is our guest is backstage. We're going to bring him out right now. Ladies and gentlemen, it's his first time on the program. This is Nerdy Blurb TV. He is joining us this evening. Thank you for coming on this evening, man.
Welcome.
Sorry it took so freaking long, but I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Oh, no worries. We appreciate it. Appreciate you
We've
coming
all
on.
showed up late at least once.
Yeah. Yep. You know, like I said,
Everybody gets one. All right, this is
Everybody
my
gets one.
one.
He managed to sit out all the boring parts so he can come in for the juicy stuff.
Yep. He
I've been
Yes,
watching this
what-
whole time.
He didn't want to hear our bad jokes.
Yeah. Like I said, we rarely start on time. Like, it wouldn't be a regular Monday night episode if we didn't start a little bit late. So no worries. We just got through the box office breakdown really quick. Went through that, and we're going to kind of talk about a little bit of Star Wars now and the debacle. Now, did you go to see Rise of Skywalker or?
Now, which one is that one again?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just kidding.
Exactly. Hey, look, there's a lot of people that have that reaction to it. They're like, I'm not even gonna fucking watch this.
There's so many Star Wars out there, you know. You never know. Yeah, of course I saw it. I was excited for it to be over. Let's put it that way.
You have my condolences.
Yeah.
Rise of the plot holes.
Yeah. The rise of Jar Jar Abrams in the mystery box. Yeah, it's like, yeah. Why should we have coherent storytelling, well fleshed out characters, thought out ideas when we can just have mystery boxes? That's it. That's what
Because
it's
of
all
money,
about.
right?
Yeah, that's because the $1 billion mark is now the.
Well, who else in here saw that movie?
Not me. I avoided it.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I
You're the only
decided to
smart
sit that one
person
out.
here. We need more people like you because Hollywood can get away with a lot of things if we continue to just pander to what they want.
This
When
is
really we should just do what we want.
Yeah, I sat that one out.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta say what's up to Leo Red in the chat real quick. Hey, Leo Red.
Leo.
Stop by for his break on work. You got any? We're waiting for that R. Kelly joke now, man. Come on, don't leave us hanging without R. Kelly.
He's got to build it up, you know. It's
Yeah,
you gotta,
an R. Kelly or a Kevin Spacey joke at least once before you go back to work, man. No, I did. I wanted to review Rise of Skywalker because if I take the time to like review it, or react to a trailer or something like that, it's like I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna do my due diligence, and unfortunately, this is how I got stuck on my 13th episode of Batwoman now.
Hey, those are your best videos, man.
Those are my best.
Welcome.
People love.
You
the damn
know what's
Batwoman
funny, dude,
reviews,
is
but-
I started really started going hard in the paint, as you say, on my YouTube channel specifically to bitch about Star Wars, and that is my least watched content on my channel. So I just quit doing Star Wars videos altogether because nobody's
People finally
interested.
moving on from it now. It's like
They're done. They're
hey,
just
if they're
moving
bitching
on.
about it, they still care. When they stop talking about it, that's when you're in trouble.
Weirdly enough, my most watched videos on my YouTube channel are my Star Wars toys.
That's because you review the cool toys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you do the cool stuff on your channel.
Yeah, you do the cool stuff because the from what I understand, the toys are getting better because they're going
Baby
back.
Yoda.
They're going back to the older stuff.
Well, yeah, they've been awarded the opportunity by the great Disney overlords to approach and enter a year without a film tie-in, so they can actually make the stuff that's going to make them money.
I have a
Instead of
feeling there's
selling
going to be
the
more
picture
years
for
without a film tie-in.
I hope so. I've already pre-ordered my 6-inch scale snow speeder with DAC, so that's going to be, I don't know, I'll find a place for it. Probably the floor, but I've pre-ordered that, and they've reissued, or will be reissuing. 2013 saw the Vintage Collection release an Amazon exclusive Slave 1, and they've decided to remake that and make it widely available.
Are they going to make it to scale this time?
Yeah, it's to scale. It comes
Yep, I'm gonna buy one of them.
Dude, I love it when they make the stuff to scale. Yeah.
Yeah, it comes with a flight stand. So,
Oh, kick ass.
Yeah, so you can actually display it vertically how it's supposed to be.
Yes, instead of just laying it down flat, how the ship never sits unless they're loading the cargo hold with carbonite. Yeah, I tell you, this is the thing, man. In Disney, they would be wise to follow that Mandalorian playbook. Now, season 2, I'm a little bit nervous because they already included what's her name, Sasha Banks from WWE. That little
Sarah Banks instead.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
curious. Go to a hub and type in Sarah Banks, and you can thank me later.
Don't tell me.
Disney owes Snoop Dogg some money.
Yep. Hang on. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, at Raiders. I go hard in the fingerprint during recess. R. Kelly. Oh.
Oh no!
He has to make them count. You understand?
There it is. There's one from Leo Red.
He takes pride in his work.
That's going on Leo Red's. That's on his fucking greatest hits. No, man. The Mandalorian was the season. I think season 1 was really great. I didn't really think it had any of the. I don't know if you want to say why the wokeness or whatever that the Disney movies, the sequel trilogy had. I mean, the characters were well fleshed out. You know, I mean. I like Pedro Pascal's The Mandalorian, even though seeing him as Maxwell Lord and Wonder Woman, he's totally he just is not a tough looking guy. Like I you know what I mean? But
That's
in the Mando armor, it is range. Oh, he does. He's got great range. But I like Mandalorian. I hope they continue the current trajectory of that. That's all. So Palpatine is a clone. I want to touch on that now. I want to know, you guys, this whole retcon, they're basing this on, you have to, the novelization, and this is going to explain everything. And do we have to read a book to understand your shitty movie? Is that where we're at now?
That's where we've been since episode 7.
That seems to be the current theme.
I'm not sure why they do that, because clearly none of the people that write these movies have ever read a book either. So why put the stuff in something that nobody else read beforehand?
Back up a little bit. What's a book? I'm sorry. I'm a 30-year-old.
It's what we call plot armor, Sal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. I'm just a 30-year-old millennial that doesn't know anything without Google.
Oh, now
Sal's ready for that Fahrenheit 451 future.
Hey,
oh God,
Ray Bradbury.
Yeah. Who's Blurb? Are you an EU guy at all?
I an EU guy, extended universe stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is my quick opinion about extended universe outside film. If it starts as a film, and then there's crucial stuff within the extended universe, you already lost me. You're not gonna get it. But some of the Star Wars stuff is pretty freaking amazing. The Lost Stars book, which I recently just finished, amazing movie or book. They should make that into a series. That would be freaking amazing if Disney Plus did something like that. But like extended universe, it's funny. All of the universes that I want to have extended universes don't have it because they're smart enough not to mess around. Star Wars is like, yeah, let's just do whatever we want, and that essentially I think is what has killed the universe. Other than a few stupid decisions within the the film franchise. But
Well, especially since it was a universe that was based on such a rigid structure to begin with. I mean, everything had to have continuity.
Yeah, but was it though?
Well, I mean,
was-
sometimes it slipped in spots, but it was always one like overarching story.
I'm pretty sure that Lucas was on Quaaludes the whole time. Like he didn't know what was going on. I mean, they released.
Well, if I had his kind of money, I could afford the good Quaaludes.
Exactly,
so.
and that's when they started kicking in. When he's like, "We should do episode 1," because they ended up releasing Star Wars, right, when it first came out, and then later it's like, let's make it Star Wars: A New Hope episode 4, and then that threw everybody off out of the loop. And that's when he was just like, I'm just gonna mess with people. I think extended universe stuff can be good, but if you go overboard, you're just, what makes extended universe stuff really great is when they focus on events or characters, and that's what Lost Stars did. They focused on both of those things. If any of you have not read that, go check out the audio.
I read it.
Freaking awesome.
I'll check it
It's
out.
like one of the few Disney Star Wars books that I actually did.
Oh, that's a Disney one too.
That's Disney. It's basically
Okay.
Romeo and Juliet in
That's
Star
right.
Wars.
All right. Okay.
Oh yeah, I read it,
Wait,
nerdy.
didn't
I
they
love
do
that
Romeo
book.
and
Man.
Juliet with Kylo and Rey already?
No, this is a good Romeo and Juliet sound.
Uh-huh.
No, Sal, you're thinking of when they redid the Twilight with Raylo. Yeah.
You know what?
Oh,
No,
I
you
see.
know what? I'm gonna say it right now. Kylo and Raylo, worse love story than Twilight. I
Ooh.
said it. I
That
said
Yeah,
hurts.
I'd rather watch 50 First Dates or 50 Shades of Grey. Sorry.
Ooh, Fifty
You gotta
Shades of
go.
Grey was even fucking terrible. I mean, that
It can't
movie
be
was-
worse than Raylo, man. Come on.
It was horrible.
And I could rather watch a porno out in public.
With your parents.
Wait, what's stopping you now?
Mostly laws.
Yeah, there's a few laws and whatnot.
Just get some headphones. You'll be
I
alright.
just one time, I'd like to get like the codes to get into that giant jumbotron in Times Square and just put on like Pornhub. You just got
Watch the good Star Wars. Yeah.
Andy Phyllis is listening to porn again.
Hell yeah.
She's listening to 50 Shades of Grey in her headset. All right. So this whole cloning Palpatine thing. Why now? This is
Plot armor, Pete. Plot
well,
armor.
I know it's plot armor, but this is kind of funny to me. This is basically
They
akin-
did this because his only other solution, J.J. Abrams' only other possible solution would have been time travel, and he's went to the well way too many times with that one. So we'll do the clone thing.
That's where I was going, because this is just as bad as post Avengers Endgame, when the Russos were coming out, and every other day there was an explanation for this, there was an explanation for that, there was an explanation for this. We had to explain this part of the quantum realm. It's like your MacGuffin, your fucking quantum realm, just threw everything that you built for 10 years up in the air, and now you're going, oh shit, we got to catch all this, we got to keep juggling all this. And it's like, well, when the people come back, do they come back in the airplanes? What if they're not in an airplane anymore? What if they just fall down, hit the pavement, go splat? You have to explain shit like this because people want to know. But me being a child of the 80s, when not every film was built around a goddamn trilogy or a cinematic universe, we got one-off movies, and you had to use this little thing called your mind and your imagination to expand on what you thought transpired off screen in scenes that weren't resolved by the final act of the film. So I mean, to me, it's like, whatever, don't explain it, because you're just digging yourself a bigger hole right now. And that's kind of what they're doing with Star Wars. I mean, this was already in the pit as it was. I mean, this movie was horrible.
So here's my analogy on this. So they're clearly they're doing I guess kind of like Monday morning quarterbacking, and I liken it to when little kids are in the car and they don't know a song, but they try to sing it along, but they're like a couple words behind. That's kind of what they're doing. They're like, oh yeah, we know what we're doing, but they're like a few steps behind, and now people will point and say, like, see, now all your arguments about how did he survive the Death Star are invalid because they did this. It's like, well, they did that after the fact.
How did the throne room of the Death Star survive? How is there a working goddamn elevator shaft in that? It sat in the water for 30
Who is
goddamn
Ray?
years. Yeah.
Who the frick is Ray? Who
Sat
is
there for
she?
30 damn years, and there's still a working door. My microwave didn't last 5 years. This is some bullshit.
So can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. So we hear this all the time. I will be the first one to say it. Everything they did in Rise of the Skywalker was absolute trash. It really was. And that's coming from someone who just like isn't like the biggest Star Wars fan in the world. I'm way more of a Star Trek fan. Whatever.
Yes.
But it was trash. But the question that I've always just wanted to ask hardcore fans, because clearly I feel like you guys are, what would you guys have wanted to have happen anyway? Because it's either a lot of fan service, or it was just continuing on with just like random crap. And I mean random crap like The Force Awakens, to me, was honest to goodness trash garbage as well, because it was just poor storytelling.
Didn't age well. No.
No, not only did it
That
not
movie
age well,
only
it
got
didn't make any sense. You mean to tell me that
It
the
only got
Empire
away
is
with
down?
it because the member berries kicked in. It had been like 10 years. If it
Yeah,
wasn't
I
for
mean,
that-
everybody went to it. It
Right.
made a lot of money.
75% of the reason why everybody went to go see that was to see Han and Chewie back on the screen again.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it.
It's
That even
nostalgia.
suckered me in. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what worked for Force Awakens. So they tried it again in Rise of Skywalker. But like, where else would you have wanted it to go? Like, let's just say, because I feel like a lot of people in this room probably have a problem with The Last Jedi, right?
How long do we have?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's like a whole series of streams.
That's just an overarching sure.
Yeah.
But let's just pretend the fact that like maybe there was a pretty decent film in between. Where would it have gone anyway? Like the things that made The Last Jedi bad, take those out. What else would there have been? Would you have wanted to see more Snoke, or would you want Palpatine at all?
I would have rather had Snoke.
Palpatine's dead.
I'd
He's
rather
been
Palpatine's
dead.
gone.
He's
And
dead.
I get the feeling the only reason they brought Palpatine back is because there's no structure in these movies.
Yep.
That clearly was supposed to be Snoke in Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
That clearly was supposed to be Snoke. They killed him off, and JJ's like, "Oh crap, I gotta fix this."
Instead, you have Snoke in a barrel. You got a bunch of like, it's Mr. Potato Head and his bucket of parts, and here's fucking Snoke's in a barrel. I mean, it was hilarious. And then you get like the Gregorian chanting Sith orchestra. That was just and you got a puppet Palpatine on his big life support. Scarecrow mechanism walking him around, and I mean, it was cringy. Like literally, I was in the theater with my sister who loved The Last Jedi, all right? And now it's hilarious because she is sitting there and she's listening to me and she goes, "God damn it." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "I hate this because you're right. You've been right this whole time." And I'm like, welcome to the right side of history.
For a while, but
That's kind of how I am with the first one, The Force Awakens. Like I always say that I liked that one, but the problem is you go back and look at it now, and all of the things that were set up, when they don't go anywhere, they don't hold up.
See, Finn, the whole thing with everybody, bashing on people that had critiques of The Last Jedi. Oh, well, you're just a racist. You don't like the fact that there was a black character. No, I wanted them to take Finn and do something with him.
Right.
After they
my idea for Finn was to make him like a Manchurian candidate.
You have a
type where
redemption arc for a stormtrooper. You've humanized a stormtrooper who, up to this point, has been nothing but fodder. You've never seen him on, outside, in a movie. I'm not talking EU or comic books or anything. This is an unmasked stormtrooper for the first time in Star Wars, and he happens to be a black character. Okay, so you've got a chance here to do something which people have been saying, hey, there's no diversity. Okay, make this character
if you could have had him where he was
something.
If you could have had him where he was wrestling with his programming, like he wanted to be good, but he was constantly like he was brainwashed, and he was like a sleeper agent type of thing. Like he would be activated, kind of like the Winter Soldier. If you would have done something like that with him, he would have been interesting.
I honestly thought that was going to happen because
I did too. I wanted it to.
The whole Phasma and him arc, I thought was going to be explosive. I thought it was going to be like she's a really cool character because of her aesthetic and everything, and he's a cool character for all the same reasons you had said, because like first stormtrooper ever to be unmasked, and I thought this is going to be big. And then if you remember right, the whole marketing to Force Awakens was, oh, Finn is the last Jedi. Like he is the Jedi. You remember that? You remember
They
how
made it look like he was
the other thing I was
Force-sensitive.
hoping too, because I thought there was a clue with the poster, because I'm like, okay, well, it's a big deal that Mark Hamill's coming back to this movie, but he's not on the poster. What if he was Kylo Ren? That would have been interesting to me. I know that's not.
What
a
if he was
popular
like a
topic,
douche?
but-
Like, what if he was the
No,
bad guy?
like if he'd gone bad and he was secretly a Kylo Ren, and then you had to bring him back, just like you did, like you brought Vader back from Return of the Jedi.
No one knew who Kylo Ren was until the movie came out.
Yeah.
I remember that was a big deal. No
Yeah,
one knew who.
Because they're right. Star Wars is cyclical, but the problem is all of the character arcs in each movie are cyclical, which is why it's the same problem I have with The Walking Dead, where it's like you don't have arcs, you have circles with everybody.
Don't get me started on that, dude. You know how big of a defender you know how big of a defender I am of that show. Last night I almost kicked my TV.
You're finally starting to come around.
You know,
Remind me to
and-
slap you after this
and
cast is over.
it's not just me too, because my wife always yells at me and goes, "You're too critical, you're too critical." And last night we're watching the show and I'm watching her reactions, and she's getting, I could see her over there going, you know, she's over there motherfucking it under her breath, and I'm like, I was like, this episode fucking sucks, doesn't it? She's like, it's shit. I'm like, okay, it's not just me then. I'm like, this is becoming a fucking chore. And then, you know, so I don't want to get off on the Walking Dead time. That's
it's understandable.
That's another
it's like
rant.
that with every kind of fandom, man. It's like you're always in that period of denial where it's like, you know, the relationship's secretly over, but you're ready to keep giving it a shot. Like maybe it'll come around, but it's all these franchises right now, man. It's like this extended abusive relationship. It's like,
but I won't leave her. I won't leave The Walking
Yeah,
Dead. And I'll watch the new show, and I'll watch Fear the Walking Dead, as shitty as that guy, with a lady with the Pine Saw lady with a walker on a stick 2 fucking seasons ago.
I'll admit, man, I hung
Jesus
on to
Christ.
Doctor Who about a season too long that I should have. You know, it's the same thing. It's the same situation.
I hear Friends is having a reunion. Good.
Over on HBO,
I heard
yeah.
that.
I'm a Seinfeld guy.
Yeah.
I'm a
How do
Seinfeld
you exit
guy.
out of this? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
No, I like
There's anything
Seinfeld.
wrong with that?
I like Seinfeld. Hey, fun fact: I actually was on many tapings of The Walking Dead in Atlanta.
Really?
Yes, sir.
see,
I lived right there
Okay.
when they
where's
were
that,
when they were going in with the tanks and everything. It was
by
pretty
us. That's Sonoy, isn't it?
So
Grill.
yeah, some of it, yeah. The the governor and
Yeah.
everything. That's Sonoy.
Okay.
That's back when the show was still great.
God. You know,
But like where Sean dies, where they kill Sean,
Mhm.
our apartment was just right there.
really?
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
See, that show was so, like, I love the comics too. Like, I've read the whole comic
Yes.
series like a couple times over. Now the ending of that really that made my blood boil a little bit, the way Kirkman decided to end it. But I do.
Wait, the comics are over now?
yeah, that
Yeah,
ended at
okay.
issue 193.
Yeah,
He just
ended it out of the fucking blue.
Yep. And then
Probably because he hates where the TV show's going.
it was a nobody character that killed him too. I mean, the character was like basically a new character in the book. I mean, it was, or you know, kind of undeveloped. It was stupid. I don't want
The same thing happened to the governor. Some rando in a crowd fucking blew his brains out. So
Yep. See, the governor on the TV show, what's his name? David Morrissey. He was awesome. That
Yeah,
guy
he's
was.
a
He was
terrific actor,
so
yeah.
good.
But anyway, so what I would have liked to have seen with Star Wars, to circle back to that, I would rather them just not even done as 7, 8, 9. I like the Rogue One. I like the one-off stories that are within the universe, but don't really have a, like, I don't know, like Rogue One doesn't really impact the story so much. Like it just kind of dovetails right into Episode 4, but you know they had cameos other than Moff Tarkin, but I like the one-off stories where it's like, you
Yeah.
know, it expands the universe rather than shrinks it to like everyone is. lives on
That's
the
Star
same
Wars'
screen.
like biggest strength is their universe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like their characters, yeah, but then they f that all up with Force Awakens. So like the only thing they had left was, and we saw how Solo worked out. And honestly, I didn't mind Solo. It's just like it's like a whatever film.
It was boring.
Terrible.
Yeah,
I don't
boring.
like
It was
Solo.
kind of boring.
I don't like Solo, but I don't think it's Last Jedi bad.
No, not even close.
No, I actually
I
like
like-
Rogue One. Or that was pretty good.
Rogue One's
I like
the
Rogue
movie
One.
I still like.
I think it's unfair that we don't get more movies like that when it did well and fans seem to genuinely like it, and then because of Solo, they got to put that on ice. Like, why?
Yeah.
But I think that's why The Mandalorian is doing so well, is because we're seeing the universe more.
Yep.
Whereas,
Right.
like, The Mandalorian isn't really a character, and he's not supposed to be, or at least
He's an
yeah.
archetype.
Yeah.
Like his arc to us was the first season, in my opinion, and so it wasn't like let's start on this character that we know so well, because it would have been, well, it was supposed to be a Jango Fett movie, isn't that
Boba Fett.
Boba,
a
I
Boba
think,
Fett
yeah.
movie?
Yeah.
Okay, and so I just didn't see that doing well. But then when I heard that they were making a series about some random Mandalorian, I was like, that could be cool, because it's not really a character, it's more the universe, which is the whole point of Star Wars, in my opinion.
I like that there's none of these connections to these original characters.
Yep.
It makes it refreshing and new. It's like something,
Legs.
familiar but new, and that's what I wanted. I want more things that are familiar but new.
I like the world building aspect of it, because I'm a really big fan of the prequels, even Phantom Menace. After seeing the sequel trilogy, and even before then, I have always liked the Phantom Menace. I've talked about this ad nauseum with you guys. Is because of the world building, and it's the foundation for the house right there. You've got all these stories that they start and tie into the original trilogy, but it was really well done. And like I said, the world building through the prequels, despite the cringy acting and the bad dialogue in Attack of the Clones, which I still love Attack of the Clones because it gave us the fucking clones, which is one of the coolest things about the prequels. And
there
all
was
Star
still
Wars
some
lore.
semblance of a story at the center of it all.
The clone army and the clone soldiers and their stories and everything, which is why the Clone Wars TV show is so cool. But no, I really think that the prequels are more appreciated now because of what we've got from Disney, and people go back and look at the Phantom Menace in a new light and be like, this movie is, we were a little harsh on this one. We were a little rough on this. It was just too much.
Also, I didn't think of it until just now too, but maybe George Lucas is somebody that's better at starting in the middle of a story than actually starting a story. Because he started with episode 4.
Well, that wasn't really necessarily his first initial thought. He only thought that halfway through Return of the Jedi. And then he's like, I should make episode 1. And then that's when they released it. Not re-released it, but that's when they changed the title to A New Hope to episode 4.
That's right. They did do that.
So it's like, I think the guy has brain ADHD, like idea ADHD. Is like, oh, I should have done this, but rather than saying I should have, he's like, I can do this. You remember when they made? Well, of course you remember, because that's all Disney wants us to remember is all the re-releases with all the new upgraded version stuff with stupid alien stripper songs and everything.
Stripper songs.
He does whatever he wants with this franchise, and everybody's probably sitting there, oh, George Lucas is going to roll over in his grave, even though he's not dead. No, he's not. He just is thinking more.
No, I think what happened to him is I think he started off a decent storyteller, and I think he became more of a president of the board type of guy, and he designed the prequels as a president of the board type of guy and less of a storyteller. Because why else would you have a movie where half of it is meetings and councils? That's what a head of a board does all day.
I don't know. I loved that. I even as a kid, I liked that. I thought it was cool.
Well, if you remember, the original episode 4 is pretty much Phantom Menace. I think people said, like, until they edited and fixed it, it was mostly meetings and boring stuff. The problem is, I don't think Lucas is a bad filmmaker at all. I think the problem is what happens to every filmmaker. When they get too much power and they don't have they have nothing but yes men, it goes badly.
That's the same thing happened to Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott started breaking his own toys too.
Yeah,
that is true.
You look at Lucas. He got to the original trilogy. People kept telling him all the time, "This is a bad idea. Don't do this."
They get old and jaded, and then they want to deconstruct their own things that they created. And it's like, Ridley Scott's the same guy that wanted to push that, Deckard as an android thing. And
okay, wait, time out. He is though.
No, he ain't. Did you see Blade Runner? Bro. Did you see Blade Runner 2049?
Yeah, but have you read the book?
Oh, I don't care about the book. I'm talking about the movie.
But that's the thing, though, is that Ridley Scott...
I don't do that book shit.
That's fine, but like he is.
You read shit,
he definitely is.
That's fine, but in the sequel, he's not.
But he is.
In 2049, he's not an android.
Here's the interesting thing about George Lucas, by the way, is that George Lucas was only given merchandising rights for Star Wars, even though he came up with the concept of Star Wars and wrote it. I feel like he became jaded from the merchandise. So he started
Well, he started designing things, hoping to make toys out of them. Yeah.
exactly, and that's where I really honestly feel like he and everyone else, just kind of like hoard out Star Wars.
And somehow that's where Disney absolutely blew it. They could not make any designs. It would sell toys. He's
just like, does it look cool? Great, let's just throw it on a T-shirt. And who cares? You know,
what's that term they call it, Sal? Toyerific or a
toyetic.
Toyetic. That's it. Mm. They made that word up. Toyetic. Something that's toyetic, so they can make merchandise out of it.
I just used that clip in one of my videos. The what's his name? Yogurt merchandising. Spaceballs the T-shirt. Spaceballs the cereal. Spaceballs the flamethrower.
I still remember how geeked out the first time I got a biker scout with a speeder bike.
Oh dude, my speeder bike is sitting. Wait, let's see if I can see it right here. It's sitting right there. I don't know if you can see it. Let me turn my light around. I'm gonna knock shit over, but yeah, there's a fucking speeder bike sitting, the vintage one sitting right there in front of my Endor troops on my fucking dresser. Whee! I gotta figure.
The rest of your room looks like an evidence locker.
It is
from the police station.
Well, there might be a few swords or rifles laying around here, but
if you put a black light in there, does it look like a Jackson Pollock painting?
No.
All right.
It's like the hotel room that that Wilford Brimley strangled Bob Crane in, but that's another story altogether.
Looks like the hotel room from The Shining.
Well.
Lady in the bathtub.
If there's a bathtub in here and I don't know it, I didn't think this room was that damn big. So, no, Star Wars is like it's just it's in such a weird place right now, and then they're talking about this whole Project Luminous and the High Republic, and I'm like, look,
explain that to me one more time. What that is?
It's this set 400 years before
200.
the 200.
So this is the new movie that they're working on. Is that what's going on?
I guess these are books.
Well, who cares? Yeah, we don't read those.
But these are the books that they're making because they've said before this is the new trilogy that they're going to make.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that is the case. I guess I do know more Star Wars than I give myself credit for, because that's the understanding that I heard. Under that they're books that are going to prime us into the trilogy that they're doing.
We're probably gonna have to buy and read the books to understand the movie, I imagine.
Well,
nope, not doing that.
Well, see, okay, here's the thing. Yeah, sure, EU stuff it can be a head scratcher, but like they're not like super crucial, right? I mean, like I was confused at Force Awakens when Finn took off his helmet, and I'm like, oh wait, he's not a clone. He's black. He's not freaking New Zealander, right? And I was like the only one, and everyone's like, you should have read the books. They got rid of the clones like even before the original trilogy. I'm like,
they should have shown that in the films. That would have been nice. Yeah,
it would have been nice if they mentioned it. But like, I'm the one looking like an idiot because I don't have time to read all that stuff. I don't care to read that stuff, even if it is good, like the Lost Stars. But Lost Stars doesn't have lore or canon in it. It just has the events that happen in it. But
to say the caveat to that, by the time Force Awakens came out, they'd already nuked the EU.
Yes, I was just going to say, because now they just got rid of so much of their crap, is that it looks like Disney's fallen prey under the same thing that George Lucas did with merchandising, and they're just going to create a way for us to be immersed into the story more by us purchasing more of the story beforehand, which sucks, but if you love the universe, it's going to be cool. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just tired of having to jump through hoops with Star Wars. That's why I'm so sick of it.
Well, the thing I'm most concerned about with this High Republic, they're like, oh, it's 200 years before the original trilogy, before the prequels, you say. Yes, so there's not going to be any cross-contamination between the stories. I'm like, except for fucking Yoda, who's 800 years old.
Yep, that was my point, was Yoda.
So he was alive through all this and never once mentioned it to anybody.
Cool. Yep.
I'm trying to find that dry erase board with all the stuff.
I got it. I got it right here.
I want to talk about that while we have Nerdy on here.
Yep, I got it. I got it right here.
That makes me so angry, that board, dude. Just everything on that board is everything, not just Star Wars. It's everything wrong with movies that are franchise movies that are being made now. Everything. It's designed by committee, literally checking boxes. I used to joke about this, and this is more on the nose than I ever thought it would be.
So
right here.
Fiction, Star Wars wishes, representation and diversity, rival houses, Sith Empire, Chaos Agents, dinosaurs. What the fuck? Relic Hunters. They already made a Relic Hunters TV show with Tia Carrere in the 90s.
How about you guys? The first thing when I'm thinking about Star Wars is dinosaurs.
Wait,
technically, there's a precedent for dinosaurs. If you look at the holiday special,
Yep.
I can't believe I just brought that up.
The Mythosaur. The Mythosaur the Mandalorian.
Dude, the holiday special is high art.
They reference the holiday special.
Well, you know the holiday
Mythosaur.
special is canon again, right?
It always was.
Yep. Yeah. They it was. They referenced it in Mandalorian too.
I want a B. Arthur standalone movie.
Chewie's kid is in one of the books that take place after the Return of the Jedi, Lumpy or whatever.
Yeah.
Holiday special is canon again. Lucas took it out of canon.
Which one was the one that was sitting there watching porn?
That was the grandpa. I don't know what his name was.
It's Itchy.
Itchy. That was Itchy Baka.
Okay.
But
You know why he's
Lucas-
itchy. Come on now.
Lucas hates the holiday special.
Not pro Star Wars, not pro war. Not pro war. When Star Wars.
I like it when you take the war out of Star Wars.
So we just have Star?
Thanks assemble by committee.
Are we just going to call it Star Peacetime? Scope, mythic, space and lightsaber battles. Okay, I mean, can we just stop? Can we just drop this charade? Can we just please drop the charade that these people have?
This board hurts me so much because this is everything wrong with every franchise right now. This is what happens when you hire people that don't understand science fiction, and people that don't respect the franchise or the fans within that franchise, but they still want to design something within the confines of that franchise. They don't want to have the consequence of dealing with the fandom. So you have this crap right here.
You know what this is? This is a boiled down, dumbed down version of the manatees from South Park with the balls picking up plot.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Oh my God.
This is them just throwing shit against the wall to see what sticks.
Did you take one of the balls out of the tank? The manatee have stopped working. Did you take one of the balls out of the tank? I love how it says university under Star Wars wishes. Like, do we really need to know about Star Wars College now? Like, if it was the Jedi Academy or something, cool. You know, but I mean,
there's Jedi Academy.
What the fuck is Chaos Agents? Can we talk about that? Is that like the Joker from the Dark Knight?
Yeah, I was gonna say
Dr. Alpha.
They're going hard in the deep cuts. It's actually Professor Chaos. It's Butters.
With his tinfoil helmet.
I promise you, universities is just there because Star Wars wants some of that Harry Potter money.
Yep. If they have Chaos Agents and it's Professor Chaos, will they in turn have General Disarray?
Yes.
Because if General Disarray is in, take my money now.
They're gonna find a way to marry the two universes together. We're gonna have the Prisoners of Azkaban on the Death Star now.
We've lost Nerdy Blurb.
Oh, hang on. Let me go back here.
Disney got no original ideas left. They're gonna try. They're doing the same thing Star Trek is trying to do. It's trying to be everything except the franchise it should be.
That's the same problem that James Bond has. It's like they're trying to copy other things when they have something that's already established. Why do that?
There we go.
Are they afraid it's going to get stale or?
There you go.
It's all right, man. Trust me. Before I started using Ethernet, I would get kicked off my own streams like at least 10 or 15 times. It would they would put bets on it. It was bad.
Well, I'm an idiot, and I'm running Premiere Pro and After Effects and this at the same time.
Multitasking.
Yeah, I'm an idiot. That's what it's called in short term.
Man, you're an achiever. I like that.
Yeah.
I try to be. I have my other computer over here too, doing pretty much the same thing other than streaming. But I'd hate for you guys to think that I left just because of all the hate, because I actually don't share any of you guys' opinions whatsoever. I think it's dope what they're about to do, and I think I disagree with a few of the things up there and what they're doing, but I definitely don't disagree with all of it at all. So that's why I was surprised that you guys wanted me to come on here, because I am not your people at all. But like,
That's why I
Bro,
wanted you to
No,
come
that's
on.
the
though.
thing is
That's
we
why we
created
wanted
this.
you to come
Yeah,
on.
we're not an
Bro,
echo chamber.
I'm anti
Yeah.
and they know I'm anti-Fandom Menace.
Yep.
So I was like, I'm that dude. Like, yo, I'm the guy. What was it? Me and Pete, we met because Pete used to love Thor Ragnarok, and I
Yep.
hated that movie. I hate that movie more than any movie I've seen, and yet we still got along. It was
Yep.
like, this is how we do it.
And I kind of saw the light now. I mean, if
I didn't mean to do that.
that's all right, dude. Trust me, because if I was in a room with Taika Waititi, I would. He wouldn't be walking out for what he did to
You
Thor.
notice
What
I
he's
was
going to do to
making
my
fun of The Walking Dead, and he Pete was a fan. He's starting to come around now, but I never faulted him for being a fan.
No, I still
fell
like I
off
said,
a long time ago.
I still love the damn Walking Dead, but it's like the show is it's like Star Wars. It just makes it difficult for me to actually like want to keep investing in this.
I guess my problem is that they're trying to design it in a committee, whereas the original Star Wars was pretty much one man's vision that was realized and then built upon and expanded on. I respect that they're trying to come up with something different, but the problem is there's no vision. They're trying to design a vision on a clear air, and that concerns me.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what Nerd you were talking about. What you like about it. I'd like you
Yeah.
to continue that.
Yeah.
Thor
what we
Ragnarok
did,
is the best of the Thors. Thank you very much. Good night.
He's like, I'm never coming back on this channel again. I'm out.
And there goes Lick Licks.
Alex is like, I'm out.
He's out.
No, I'm kidding, man. I respect that opinion.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's very, very different opinions are welcome here. I don't want an echo chamber. We happen to have a lot of the same opinions, but not all of them are the same. So that's why, like I said, I'm not worried if you disagree with us. This isn't going to be like sick 'em. Hell no, man. You're more than welcome anytime.
That was
Absolutely.
never my
absolutely,
thought.
man.
No
Okay.
worries. But
Yeah,
I just knew that some people knew that. And then all of a sudden I bow out on the stream. I was like, great. So whatever. But
I'm not entirely against the High Republic. It's just like I said, the diversity thing kind of worries me. But I was like, honestly, I just don't care. I'm not angry about Star Wars anymore. Like I said, I didn't even see Rise of Skywalker. So December, I'm the only person on the channel who's in a good mood. What did I get? I went to see Witcher instead. I even said, I was like, oh, y'all fools gonna go see Star Wars. I'm gonna go watch Witcher. I wasn't happy.
We've kind of hit on this before in the past. I like where Star Wars is going with The Mandalorian. I mean, I think we can all agree that we like that. And I think a lot of that is I always bring everything back to the creative, the people that are in charge of the creative process are people that need to understand and respect science fiction. So you got Dave Filoni and you got Jon Favreau, who are really good at starting things. So they were the right people to put on that project. So my concern is I don't really care about this writer's room and what they come up with, as far as the stories go. Who is going to write the script? Do they have a vision? Do they have, like a direction that they want to go with it? Like I mentioned several times, I'm excited about Denis Villeneuve doing Dune because I know he has a vision for it. Yes. And I know he'll respect that property. I want to see that for Star Wars. I want Star Wars to be great again, and I need to know that people that respect that franchise for what it is and understand how it works are going to make this happen. I don't care what color they are. I don't care who they sleep with. I just want to know that they have the skills to make it happen. That's it.
So here's a real, for real question. This isn't like pointing fingers or nothing. Why is it that anything that has to be, that for some reason is labeled woke, if it is directed towards anything entertainment, especially Star Wars, why is that a problem all of a sudden? Because you literally just said what everybody's intention in that writing room really is about. Like everything that you just said, I personally believe that their intentions are just as pure as yours. The pure is not the right word, I guess, but just they're good intentions. Everybody doing this, in my opinion, are doing it for good intentions. And if Denny is doing Dune for the same reasons as Star Wars is doing it, why is it different with Star Wars? Is it because the fandom really is a freaking menace, or is it because?
No, I think it's just because we had the 1-2 punch of The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. And it didn't help the fact that in between those two things, we had a lot of mudslinging from Rian Johnson and a lot of the creative forces were
Pablo Hidalgo
were attacking people on social media ad nauseum.
I can see that.
we were gaslighted. We were accused of, running people off of social media when that never happened, without a shred of proof. It's a lot of finger pointing and things behind the scenes. It's the fact that the people in charge never, ever admit to any kind of mistakes that they've ever made. We'll never get any kind of an apology or, okay, hey.
But what's an apology going to change, though? It's not going to change.
True.
It's not going to change a suckfest of a movie. It's not going to change a ridiculous franchise, and it's not going to change any of their plans in the future.
Yep. No, it isn't. I guess it's just that we're so conditioned to being like disappointed that it's hard for us to get excited. I mean, I wasn't excited about The Mandalorian. These guys had to beg me to watch it.
I was geeked, man, from the start. Like from the first trailer they dropped to that. I was like,
good.
This is good. Fucking Star Wars right here. I'm like, this is all we've wanted since Disney took over, is this right here. You could have given us and this is why I'm like extra angry about Rise of Skywalker. Is The Mandalorian was so good. And it's like, you just proved to us that you have the wherewithal and the chops to do that.
Skywalker was put into place long before
it was. But that's
kind of you're feeling it's the release dates that are killing you there.
But what I'm go ahead, Sal. Go ahead, Sal.
To circle back to your original question about woke and all that, when no one here or anyone in the fan base has any problem with like minorities, women, like gays, anything, like no casting problems at all. Like no one cares about that. It's the defense mechanism that it's the how do I phrase this? They're not being genuine in their casting, because as soon as something negative comes out, like because they preach and they talk about how progressive and how inclusive they are, because to them that's more important than establishing a franchise. To them, that diversity comes first, story comes second, which if that's how they want to run their company, that's entirely on them. But the problem is that if there's a problem with the movie or it receives any kind of criticism, they flip that script and then they hide behind that.
And they call everybody an istophobe that questions anything. And then that's where we get upset.
Like I'd mentioned before, I didn't chime in earlier, but I was looking forward to Finn until they made his character into a joke.
Yeah, The Last Jedi ruined that.
Literally comic relief. Like it became clear in the second movie that they didn't have any kind of cohesive vision. They were just making it up as they go, and the characters got weaker as the movies progressed.
Right.
It's like I was fine for them wanting to set up new characters, but in the second movie, that's where you need to flesh your characters out, because you don't really get a lot of backstory with the characters in A New Hope. You put everybody on a journey in Empire Strikes Back. You gave us more information about those characters and their motivations in the second movie. You should have focused on that and less on, Vice Admiral Holdo and Canto Bite and all that other bullshit. Like they could have toned all of that back and focused on the characters more, but they didn't do that. So
I didn't hate Canto Bite. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where they could have went with the third movie. I was just checked out after the second one. I honestly didn't care where they went with the third movie. I'm still thinking about your question, and I can't honestly come up with anything still.
But it also comes back to what I was saying. Comes back to their campaigns. Whenever the ad campaigns or the fucking I'm sorry, I have a terrible migraine, so my brain's working at like 50% right now. The lead up to the movie, all the marketing, that's what I'm thinking of. All their marketing circles around their personal politics instead of like, hey, this is another chapter in a closely held story, but they want to talk about, oh, this is so and so's personal movement. They don't talk about the movie, they talk about politics. And for me, I realize modern life affects art and vice versa. Like there's always subtext, there's always things of that nature. Like,
but it's still called A Galaxy Far, Far Away for a reason, man.
Right, but there's what the movie's about, then there's what a movie's actually about, like the subtext and all that. And I'm fine with subtext. It's fine, but sometimes they beat you over the head with it to the point where when you go to see the movie, that's all you can think about, and I can't enjoy the movie because if I wanted to be preached to, I'd go to church.
Yep. And that's what The Last Jedi is. It's one message after another in that one, and to the point to where you're like, this doesn't even feel like Star Wars anymore. What am I watching?
So that's and to me, it doesn't stop at Star Wars. It extends across all media. Like, there's a difference between a movie being progressive in its message and all that. Like, if that's what the movie's meant to be, that's fine. But if a movie's meant to be, mindless entertainment, like space explosions and the like, don't shoehorn your message into there. Like,
So
that's
my buddy at Fanjecture was said the same thing that I was just thinking, which he's in the chat, by the way. He's awesome dude. Go check out his channel. Cool guy. But he said, do you have any examples that you're talking about? Because I can't think of any either.
as it pertains to like specific, like what example are you asking for?
I don't know, Fanjecture, do you have something specific? Because I'm just meaning what you were talking about in general. Because I feel like it's interesting what you're talking about. Because if it's in every medium, in all the movies that we watch, why is it different with Star Wars? Why does Star Wars have to be the one and only franchise that doesn't put
It
all
isn't the one and only franchise. It's just one of many that we cover. Yeah.
Oh, he said advertising, preaching. That's what he said. That's
Yeah, there you
yeah.
go.
Or I'm talking like the most recent thing I can think of is like Terminator Dark Fate, how Tim Miller went on this fucking interview and it was quoted across a lot of different articles about how, it'll make misogynists angry and she's this whole like feminist icon and things. It's like, Sarah Connor was a badass before you showed up, man. Like, why are you?
I know exactly where you're coming from.
he was talking about Mackenzie Davis.
He's talking about Mackenzie Davis, but also remember back when they were announcing a new Terminator, literally the first thing they showed us was the picture, the really bad Photoshop picture with the 3 females.
Yep.
The Force is female. Or not the Force female, the future is female, because with Star Wars, the Force female. See how they're starting to blur together now? My brain is shorting out. But before we even knew anything about the story, that was what they introduced us to Terminator with.
But that's what Terminator has always been about, though.
What?
It's always been about female empowerment. James Cameron says so. And I feel like that's way more James Cameron's voice than it is Tim Miller's.
And I can see that from James Cameron too. That's the thing. But Tim, like I said, Tim Miller didn't do himself any favors, and
But James Cameron had nothing to do with this movie.
See, he wasn't involved in this one.
He probably walked in a room and said "yep," and then walked out and got back in his submarine and flew away.
Did he have? He didn't have a producing credit.
That was the coolest thing I've ever.
You know what it is to have a producer's credit nowadays. It's like, I'll put some money on this, or
it's Kathleen Kennedy fetching
I created
coffee
these
for people who
characters.
actually know what they're doing.
It's they probably paid him to put his name under a producer's credit just to get butts in seats. He had nothing to do with it.
I believe, and I can't say I didn't even see that movie because that franchise.
I paid to go see that movie. I'm the only person in this room that paid to see that movie.
I went to see Charlie's Angels. All right.
Yeah, I paid to see Terminator Dark Fate, and it's not the movie's not quite as woke as advertised, but there are definitely some moments in there where it's replacement of one thing with something else, which we get tired of. And it's also a movie that we've seen before way too many times, just repurposed for no other reason than we have to make this thing.
Yeah, that's why I didn't go see. That's why.
No, you're not missing anything. Yeah, it's painfully mediocre. Yeah.
As a counterpoint, though, there's something I just thought of. If something is meant to be, I guess not woke, but again, has an agenda like that's its whole purpose. Like the show Euphoria on HBO has a lot of gender politics in it, a lot of shit, but it's actually really fucking good because they tackle it in a way that's appropriate to the show. Like they don't beat you over the head with it. These are what the characters are going through. Here you go. Like the lead up to Euphoria, all the advertisements I saw for it weren't talking about, like whose body parts are more important than whose, or like anything like that. And I was able to sit down and watch the show start to finish. I watched the whole season. That might be on season 2 now. I don't remember. But I watched the whole first season and enjoyed it start to finish. So.
Okay, so just I don't. Cool story, bro. I mean, I don't know. Like, what do you mean? Like, what are you getting at that point? Like, because you watch woke stuff? I don't know.
No. The point I was making is something I had mentioned earlier. I was just expanded upon it was if it's meant to be, again, my brain's barely working right now.
What I understand from what you're saying is that you don't expect that from Star Wars. So because you don't expect it, you're thrown for a loop when it's there. But stuff like Euphoria, that is expected because it's marketed as such.
Star Wars is more like mythical. All right, still something like Star Trek. Like you're a Star Trek fan, so you can relate. Okay, Star Trek, you can totally do politics. You can do stuff that's going on right now. All right, set it on another planet. Set it in the same situation that's going on right now. You can regurgitate same politics. With Star Wars, you have mythology. It's not like war profiteering and don't question authority. And, it's betrayal and fate and stuff like that. That's what right. belongs in Star Wars. Okay. Not politics. All right?
So coming back to the writers' room, which is where all this kind of started from, and I think you guys are all great, but I'm going to say some things that are going to make it seem like I don't think that, because I honestly believe that you guys are not the writers. I am not the writer. I am not the one who created Star Wars. The fans did not create Star Wars, so therefore they should not have a say. If Kathleen Kennedy wants to do that, that's fine. If it doesn't make any money, money talked. But guess what? Everybody except for our boy in here, Ruby Pegs Pete. Sorry, I didn't mean it for the first time. He's the only smart one who didn't go and see the dang movie. If we keep going and seeing these movies, then shame on us. Like, we're the only ones to freaking blame.
Preach it.
Yeah, I gladly sat out Rise of Skywalker, and Pete had a different reason for seeing Rise of Skywalker because his mom has cancer and he wished to go see it with us. So
she took me to see Return of the Jedi in '83.
He told us that we weren't missing anything.
Yep, as I said, I was like, I'm gonna review it for the channel, but like I said, that might be the last time I ever take my mama to the theater. So I was like, we're gonna go watch this shitty movie together, and you're gonna listen to me complain the whole damn time we're in the theater.
And I'm not gonna assume that I know everybody's prerogative of doing all of that stuff.
No, you're good, brother. You're good.
You get what I'm saying? Like, you're telling me what Star Wars is, but what you're really telling me is what Star Wars means to you, which is great. Because Star Wars could mean something completely different to me, because I didn't have the same experiences as you did. And because the universe is so huge, and how many things that we can take in from it, everybody's going to have a different experience. And if you just so happen to be the person that gets to write that stuff, you have all the power. And you guys and me are all along for the ride, and I hated it. I've never really liked Star Wars. I thought it's always been a really great thing. It's been something that's always bonded me and friends together. But it is the worst fan base ever because, and I'm not accusing anybody in here, but I feel like a lot of people feel like their experience of Star Wars is what Star Wars needs to be. Who's to say that Star Wars can't be diverse? Because and have the agenda to be diverse. It is the most popular franchise, the most famous franchise in all of history. Why not take that and create a platform for something that you truly believe in, whether it's different from somebody else or not? Make a platform for you to actually say what you really mean in the world.
Well, let's take it back to where Star Wars started. Okay, it borrowed from westerns.
That's fine.
Borrowed from mythology.
I'm talking about the agendas.
Well, the reason we brought up the agenda is because you're looking at the dartboard, and they've got the same thing mentioned in 3 different columns. And we're not saying that we're anti-diversity. Bro, I watched Star Trek: The Next Generation. I watched the X-Men. You don't get more diverse than either one of those things. The reason The Mandalorian works is because it borrows from westerns. It borrows from mythology. It's doing the Magnificent Seven. Those are the things that that inspired the original Star Trek. Kurosawa. You see those elements in there.
It's organic too. That's the thing, man. With the whole diversity thing, it's like, and I said this in a video the other day. I'm like, diversity is beautiful because it when it's organic. It's when you get that ham-fisted. Look what we have. Look what we have. It's like don't shove this shit in my face and say, look what we have. Well, look. make a good character, and I'm not gonna care, like as I don't care if you're black, purple, yellow, green, who you sleep with. It doesn't matter to me as long as it's a good character. They're developed, they're fleshed out. I understand their story arc. Their arc makes sense, and their identity comes second to what their goals and their modus operandi is as a character. Then the personality traits and the things like that get fleshed out after I know this is who they are. This is what their mission or their quest or what their main their goal is. This is what they're trying to achieve. This is what they're doing. Okay, cool. And then all the other things kind of fall in line after that. And
right,
they can be whatever.
Mandalorian
works
because it feels like Star Wars. The last two movies obviously did not feel like Star Wars at all whatsoever. Bottom line.
Agree.
Yeah, you can.
Agreed.
You can tell when you're watching something when it doesn't feel right. I mean, I hope you're right. I wish I could share your excitement for where they're going with it. But the other problem that I didn't mention either, and I'm going to bring it up now. I mentioned to a buddy of mine a few years back. I'm like, they're making too many Star Wars movies, and he's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Like, they make Marvel movies all the time. I'm like, Star Wars movies always had like a 3 or 4 year lapse in between them being made, so you had time to get excited about the next one because you had a little bit of a drought. When you start cranking them out right and left, and they're coming at you faster than you can stand it, too much of a good thing is never a good thing. And that's what I feel like Star Wars is, which is why it took me a long time to even watch The Mandalorian. Because, like, dude, between Star Wars Battlefront 2 and The Last Jedi and all the bullshit on online media and people fighting with me and losing friendships over this shit, I don't want to watch any more Star Wars. Period. I'm blanked out by it.
Can I just say that even though I'm throwing shade left and right, I'm totally agree with that. I'm so over Star Wars, but The Mandalorian gave me hope a lot.
Same. That and some of the toys too.
Yeah, The Mandalorian's pretty fucking good so far.
Yeah, it's way good. I can't say that I'm gonna get into the extended universe with the High Republic, but like, High Republic only means that we're possibly going to be getting a Knights of the Old Republic trilogy. And everybody's been asking for that, Yeah. So it's like, whether we have to, like, I would like to think that the writers and producers of Star Wars get it now. Like, voices have been heard. I mean, freaking this fandom.
The Mandalorian feels like they're taking things back to basics. It really does. I'll give them credit for that.
That's because Dave Filoni's in
Dave Filoni loves Dave.
Everybody's been wanting him to be in charge for a long time.
Right.
Dave Filoni should probably be in charge. I feel like he gets it.
Finish your thought, nerd. What were you saying?
Well, I actually think that The Mandalorian will probably just skyrocket him to take over Kennedy. Honestly, like, I'm surprised that it hasn't actually already happened.
Same here.
She's under contract yet. That's what they're. That's
is that what that is?
She's under contract through 2021, I believe, or late 2020, early 2021, because they re-signed her in 2018 when everybody in the big channels in the fandom are doing videos. Kathleen Kennedy's getting Geeks and Gamers, EBS. Kathleen Kennedy's getting fired. Kathleen Kennedy's out.
Well, that's just it too. So many people want her head. Yeah, so many people want her head on a pike that if it ever came out that they actually did let her go, it'd be a PR disaster.
They'll let her.
I understand wanting it, but the more people kept reporting on it, and then when it didn't happen, it just felt like egg on the face. I was like, look, if it happens, report it. We'll celebrate it. But I was like, everyone's like, she's gonna get fired. She's gonna get fired.
It's the same thing with Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall. It's like they're not going to get rid of them either until they actually get them out, or they fire Alex Kurtzman from Star Trek. I don't believe any of it until it's all official.
And to be honest with you, I personally feel like she did an amazing job at producing Solo. A lot. That's probably a different discussion for a different video.
Nah, I don't agree with that.
Like she
not
did,
one bit do I agree with that.
I can respect that.
That's fine. But like, I really think that there were some things that she did do fine. But in my personal opinion, she's only been acting as a figurehead ever since after The Last Jedi and Dave Filoni.
And she's in a position where she's not a storyteller. She doesn't write. All she does is get people together and say, "Yeah, you do this, you do that." So she's going from like a logistical stand.
Bro,
you can't make Star Wars.
When she got attached to the Star Wars name, everybody was freaking out. It was like, "Oh, the producer of Jurassic Park, the producer of E.T. Bro, E.T. is my favorite movie of all time. She didn't do squat with that thing. She put her name there because her and Steven Spielberg are best buds.
Yep.
That is bullcrap. She
It's
does
Hollywood
get the one-
nepotism. It's classic Hollywood
Yeah.
nepotism.
Let's not forget the one thing E.T. did give us: an Atari video game.
Yeah. she married a
Oh,
And a
Marshall.
fantastic
I mean-
documentary about the finding of said
Yeah,
video.
she
I'll
married
see
a
myself.
Kathleen Kennedy married a Marshall. I mean, of course she's gonna rubber stamp her name on everything her damn husband's name's on and fucking ride his coattails. I mean, that's the one thing about her is just like she just in interviews. I'm sorry, it's just like I half the time it's like I listen to her talk and it's like nails on a chalkboard. It's like the teacher from Charlie Brown. After about 10 seconds, all I hear is wah 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 wah. The force is female. Wah wah wah. Look, okay, cool. You can have some badass female characters, man. Like if Rey was more like Jyn Erso and less like what Kathleen Kennedy pictures herself as in her own head, I mean, she probably would have been a much better character. I got no issue with Daisy Ridley, none whatsoever. The character was kind of like, what did you do to earn anything?
The
that you had?
characters in all three movies are extremely shallow, man.
Yeah, it's Oscar Isaac. You've got Oscar Isaac, who's a solid actor, like
Ex Machina was really fucking great.
a good actor.
Oh
And
god,
then-
yeah. You want to see a good
You
movie
do
with
nothing
those
with
two
them.
actors in them? Yeah, watch that. Ex Machina is fantastic.
Yeah, it's good.
I still haven't seen it
Sorry,
yet.
dead air.
You really should see it. It's very good.
I
I want to say I
David,
think it's
tell
on Netflix. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
if
it's on
It's-
Netflix.
It
yeah.
is on Netflix.
It's on
It is.
it's in 4K on Netflix.
But
too.
every time I sit down to watch Netflix, I'm like playing. Now we got the Sega Genesis, so I'm like playing fucking Sega Genesis and watching The Office on my tablet, and catching up on YouTube videos for like the last hour I'm awake before I pass out of my chair.
you need to go to like a
Rehab?
rehab for The Office, dude.
I can't. That's the Office is going away
You need
from,
help.
The
from
Office
Netflix.
life, man.
It is. Man.
Do you not have all of those on DVD?
I don't. I have the.
Are you
entire
going
run
to
of
die if they
Seinfeld.
take The Office off Netflix?
I'm gonna have to buy the whole thing on Blu-ray finally.
Yeah.
And you know how my people are with money. We're extremely frugal.
With
It's
your
called
N64.
Quentin Cold Turkey, bro.
You're Mormon too?
I wear
No,
a life,
you
I wear a
worship-
life vest when I go out in public.
He worships at the Church of Ruby Rose.
Well, I have a thing for short-haired Australian lesbians. All right, leave me alone, Alex.
With strap on.
You are Mormon. I'm kidding. I'm Mormon. That's why I bash on it. So never mind.
Honestly, I don't really. I got to bring it back to the subject because I never really got to say my part. I don't really have a problem with woke entertainment per se. My only problem is that I just want it to be entertaining. I feel like sometimes, not all the time, but I feel like sometimes if a movie is more worried about being woke to entertaining, like Ghostbusters, then it turns me off. Because at the same
Well,
time,
Pete and I were talking about natural diversity in a movie because I'm all about diversity. I think diversity is great. It's just it shouldn't be the only focus of your movie. You don't want to be like jump up and down and say, "Hey, look how diverse we are." Well, what else you got? Well, never mind. We're all diverse. You should like it because it's diverse. That's what it feels like most time. It's a lot of like grandstanding and people patting each other on the backs. You know, we watch Sonic the Hedgehog. You know, you have tons of diversity in that movie. They don't call any extra attention to it because you don't need to. It's naturally diverse.
Do you think that's possibly because of what you guys have been saying? Is just that it's not the fact that you have a problem that they're forcing it to be diverse. It's the fact that they're showing in the limelight how they're being diverse.
Yes, they're patting each other on the back about
because
they're doing it so that they can start an argument on Twitter. That's really what a lot of the shit feels like.
a movie that comes to mind was Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Yeah.
That movie was crazy. It doesn't have to be the greatest movie ever. It's not my favorite. It doesn't matter. But just like you were saying, Rugby Pete, it's that it was entertaining to me, in my opinion.
and
It
see,
was
that's
an
what it needs to be.
entertaining movie.
Because at the
But,
same
like-
time, I can turn around and be like, I'm not a fan of Ghostbusters, but then people are always surprised when I turn around and say, oh, I love the Handmaid's Tale. I think that's a great show. That's
Right.
a very political, woke show. But at the same time, I was like, look, I'm reading a book now about Star Trek, and Gene Roddenberry say, look, you can get away with almost any sort of message you preach as long as the story is entertaining first. That's really all I want.
Yep.
As long as the story is entertaining, I don't
Classic Star
from
Trek
him,
always
too.
did it better. They always
Take
did that.
it from dude.
Yeah.
Star Trek is the like.
I love some Star
the
Trek,
best.
man. And I even said before, I think, what is it? I didn't quite. I didn't think I'm not that big a fan of Star Trek Discovery, but I didn't think it was as terrible as. Now I hated season 2. I never made it past season 2. But I was sitting there thinking, I was like, yeah, I don't quite have a problem with some of this, but I just think, to me personally, I just didn't find it entertaining. I didn't. In season 1, I was like, the problem wasn't that it was woke. I think the problem was I just didn't find it entertaining. I do think season 2, at least a few episodes I saw, it felt like they were just trying to preach men are bad women. Like I said, that's just me. I didn't like it, so I stopped watching it. You know, that's kind of.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So I was like, I kind of told Pete and all the guys, I was like, you know what, 2020, I was like, my resolution is look, I want to stop seeing movies that, at least to me, look bad. I just want to be happy. If I see something like, look, this looks good, looks entertaining, I want to go see it. I went to go see Sonic. I didn't want to see Star Wars. Hey, I skipped it, watched the Witcher. I remember no one gave that show a chance, Tyler. Like, I watched it that one. I was like, yo, watch The Witcher. That movie's good. Oh, but guys, it went woke. I was like, no. Yes, they put a black woman in it, but I was like, The Witcher was still good, bro. And now everybody's talking about
well,
that shit.
there's a good chunk of people that think that everything's woke too, and we're going to talk about that in a later
and
subject.
I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
not one of those. Nobody here is one of those.
And that's the thing.
Diversity isn't inherently bad on its
No.
own.
No.
one says that.
No, that's
As
the
long
thing.
as you don't sacrifice entertainment, I'm fine.
And I just feel like a lot of the things that we love entertainment-wise have been sacrificed because of politics and things that happened in 2016. It just feels like it's beating you over the head on a regular basis. It's really hard to enjoy the entertainment through the glaring message that they're forcing on you.
It's like I use a lot of analogies, but I'm glad that you all were saying that because that's basically the point I was trying to make earlier. But again, this migraine is fucking killing me. So it's like you have a relative that whenever you have a family gathering and they make like a pudding or something, they make something and they keep telling you how good it is, and you're sitting there trying to eat it like, yeah, it's good. And they're like, yeah, but you really like it, right? Like it's really that good, right? It's kind of like that. It's like I get it. This is the movie you've made. This is how you're gonna do it. Can you please let me try to enjoy it without you telling me how good it is and how happy you are? Please.
That's a good analogy, actually.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, it is great because,
Good one.
like I said, I'm Mormon. I know everything about gross Jello. But like, the thing about what you just said there, I think is like totally, because like I don't consider myself on the right. I don't consider myself on the left. I consider myself me. But I feel like a lot of mistranslation is that people are just trying to figure out who themselves are, and so like when they're trying to say how much, like, do you really like it, it's almost as if like they don't even really believe in their own product. And so I feel like the reason why Star Wars went so hard in the paint, as you say,
There we go.
is because maybe they had their own reservations on it, because like everybody else did. Even when Force Awakens came out, everybody was stoked, but everyone's like, this better be good, right?
Mhm.
But then everyone's like, don't worry, we represented everybody. Nobody's gonna have a problem with this. And I feel like, because like I said before, I genuinely feel like everybody has good intentions on either side, whether you think something's really woke or if you really think that everything is woke or whatever. I think everybody has the same exact prerogative. It's just the way that we're communicating it, just like you had said, where somebody's shoving it down your throat or somebody's saying that you should like it or whatever. I think what people should learn, myself included, is just that we need to just communicate how we like stuff, I guess.
There's one exception to that, though, Nerdy Blurb. I don't think Kathleen Kennedy had the best of intentions when she promised everybody that she was going to protect the characters that George Lucas created and have them continue in the way, when she systematically killed off most of them. Without having them get together either. And then they didn't just kill the character, they killed the legacy of the character as well, which was really a hurt to a lot of fans.
That kind of actually leads into something I was kind of leading into. One, I guess, an inch of ground I'll give them is I do not envy them at all, because in 2015 it was 2012, I think, when they bought.
Yeah, it was 2012.
I do not envy them because they were going to try and bring back Star Wars and create, like, there was no way they were going to make everybody happy. There was no possible way, because you have the diehard EU fans that want to see the Heir to the Empire trilogy or Thrawn trilogy or whatever you want to fucking call it. You got the people who didn't want to even see Luke or any of them ever again. That story was over. You got, like, so there was no way to make everybody happy, which it just kind of goes back to what I said originally. They should have just been like, here's a bunch of one-off stories in this universe that kind of, like, expand on what's already there. It would have been.
That's what I thought they were going to do.
You know, and I agree with that. But, you know, in 2012, that I feel like that wasn't, like, the thing. I feel like
it wasn't.
I feel like Marvel created that. By the way, we might all be sick of Marvel. We might not. But, like, they did it really well. Like, they created a universe without creating a universe, if that makes sense. They just focused on a bunch of characters.
Yeah.
They didn't come out and announce that they were going to create a universe either.
And
they didn't go dark universe with it, okay?
And that's the thing. Sal, I think what you're saying, if Star Wars did what Marvel was doing, or at least Marvel announced that was what they were going to do.
If they had just, like, nonchalantly, maybe 5 moves in, been like, hey, we could actually tie all this together.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, hey, we're going to do this and this and this and this. And it's kind of like playing poker and being like, hey, guys, I got these 3 cards here, and these are the 2 that I have left. So if someone could, you know, just so you know what I have, this is my plan. I'm going to bluff a hand from now. So just be prepared.
I honestly believe if Disney bought out Marvel, even Iron Man from Paramount, when they did, when that first came out, I honestly believe that Star Wars would be even more popular than Marvel is now, because they're the ones who created the great template for a good universe. And Kathleen Kennedy, Raiders, never had the plan to bring in the original characters ever. And so, like, she was only going to work on their legacy, which you and I agree that she destroyed single-handedly.
Yeah.
But like
it wasn't the death that upset me. It was like just destroying what those characters stand for. You know, for kids that grew up with them. It's like, no,
what they did to Luke in The Last Jedi, and that was. Ryan Johnson that's another topic altogether, but yeah, like you're talking about the legacy of the character, seeing the most powerful Jedi in the you know entire mythos, you know, just get treated that way, and you know turn into a blue milk drinking hermit living on an island, and you know he throws his lightsaber away, and it's just like.
Well, I can't say I have like the worst problems with that in the world. I'm able to live with those problems. The biggest problem that I have with that is that if you have Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill, saying, this is not what my character would do, that's when you need to be like, all right, let's reel this in a little bit.
But they didn't. Ryan Johnson's just like, no, look, it's my first draft. I know better than you guys. Seriously, I'm such a when the director says, I'm such a lazy writer. Okay, dude, there's a red flag right there. When your director and writer of the movie says, I'm a lazy writer. Okay, and I just want to turn in a first draft. Okay, Ryan.
There was one part, not be devil's advocate, just, I don't know, just say it because I like hearing the sound of my own voice, I guess.
What a sexy voice it is.
He does have a sexy voice.
You are.
Someone
buttery.
So anyway.
I do it.
We do, baby.
Buttery, more like congealed lard, but here we go.
I wouldn't say no.
But so in The Last Jedi, like, I don't know if Ryan Johnson did this intentionally, because I feel like I might be giving him too much credit, but I did like when Luke went on his little rant about the Jedi needing to end and all that kind of stuff, because we watched it play out in the prequels. The Jedi, at the height of their power and their hubris, allowed the Sith rise and create the Empire, because they were so complacent about, they're like, oh, we're the baddest around, basically. We're allowing ourselves, who were supposed to be peacekeepers, become generals in a war. And it was kind of, there were some points made there. It's like, okay, yeah, maybe, but you have to, at least in my head canon, because that's where I have to exist now, is that the Jedi are a religion. A Jedi doesn't mean that you're a light side user, because you look at Ahsoka Tano or the Bendu, like, you can be a Force user and not be a Jedi or a Sith. But So maybe the Jedi, in the terms of like, oh, Coruscant Jedi Temple, like this organization needs to end. So that was
Which
one
is
thing
why that's
did
why I
like.
thought they were going to go with that. You know, I thought they were going to use the last power and the Jedi Order, have things be like a government of people that can coexist. I thought that's where they were going to go with it, but it went way off the rails like quick, man.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up and Rian Johnson's writing style, because apparently that was what was going to be was going to be in the inner workings of the Jedi Council. I mean, it's very cloak and dagger what he was supposed to be, but like from that rant that Luke gave, a lot of people speculated, and Rian Johnson even came out and said, like, I'd love to do stuff with Jedi. And we already know his thoughts on what the Jedi was. So I was actually really looking for, even though I did not like The Last Jedi for many reasons, but I was really looking forward to a Rian Johnson trilogy because of that, because I personally want to see more Jedi, and I want to see pieces of crap Jedi, because they really were, like, in the prequels, they kind of were like the Godfather,
like shady Jedi. You mean? Like
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like Sifo Dyas. You'd like to see a Sifo Dyas type
Okay,
character?
so here's a great example. Supernatural, the TV series.
Yeah.
When season, I think 4 it was, when they introduced angels in there.
Right, yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah,
Book
that
of
was cool.
Enoch and all that shit.
Sure, I can't say that I finished that season, but
Yeah,
I
it
did
wasn't
like
very
the
good.
fact that these angels, like, they weren't like the greatest people ever. They were just doing a job. That was the vibe that I got, that Rian Johnson was going to do that, and I hope that we see that in like in an Old Republic or even a High Republic trilogy. I think the ideals in The Last Jedi could have gone somewhere if they didn't just get so effed up with.
Oh,
just
absolutely. Yeah,
character
I was
flaws.
excited about that movie before I saw it.
Look, even Obi-Wan like didn't go by the Jedi code because he had his little tryst with Duchess Satine of
And
Mandalore.
Qui-Gon was an outsider too.
Yep,
Yeah,
Qui-Gon was like a gray Jedi.
I'd
You
say
know, that's
Qui-Gon was arguably an actual Jedi, because he's like, "Are you here to rescue me?" And he's like, "We don't get involved in these types
Yep.
of things."
Yeah.
He wasn't.
Yeah.
He didn't want to do. He didn't want to deal with the politics. Yeah,
Right,
he was the.
which is what he was supposed to do.
He was the
Yeah.
idealist. Yeah.
By the way, there's a great book with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, of him training Obi-Wan, and they fight all the time because of what you said, Pete. Because he's kind of like a gray.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a gray dark horse, and then Obi-Wan, like you were saying, or Qui-Gon, like Sal was saying, is just like the purest Jedi. It's really cool. I can't remember the name, but that's a pretty good one.
And I like Count Dooku is one of my favorite characters in the entire mythos, man. And a lot of it goes from the movies and the Clone Wars series, because I loved Christopher Lee playing Count Dooku. A lot of people not, because they had some 80-year-old playing him. Like, yeah, but the 80-year-old's a fucking legend, dude.
Yes.
And
But Lucas liked using them old hammer.
He
horror,
was him and
know?
Grand Moff Tarkin, man. Them
Because
two
when you
are-
think evil, you think of those guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, Dooku was an amazing character, and he was so layered too, because he wasn't like you see Anakin, he goes from being a slave to becoming a Jedi, and we grant you a seat on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master. But whereas Count
He also got his
Dooku,
dick cut off.
Darth Vader's charred disembodied phallus. You should. That's an interesting follow on Twitter. If you're not following that, you probably should. But no, Dooku is like one of those captivating characters, because he didn't want for anything. He came from this, rich background. His family was rich. He's from Sereno, and he becomes a Jedi, and then it's like he's not happy with the way the Jedi do things, and he was the one that trained Qui-Gon, which is it just adds another layer to their relationship, which is so cool. And I really I loved seeing more of him in the Clone Wars show, and he's a character that I would like to see more of. But at the same time, it's like I would shudder to think what they would do with him now and who would portray him, and it'd be really difficult. Yeah, I would like to see a deep fake version of somebody using a young de-aged Christopher Lee to do Count Dooku again. I would be all right with that. Honestly, I would. I would be fine with that.
I'd love to see that, where the movie starts with him becoming a Jedi, like not him as a Padawan, but you see that dynamic with him and Sifo Dyas, and then him taking Qui-Gon as his Padawan,
Yep.
and then just kind of fleshing that out and see how, Sifo-Dyas starts to distrust the council, starts to distrust the Senate, and all that, goes off to make the clone army, and just that whole dynamic works for me. Like,
Yes.
that's be kind of, I don't know.
I think there's I don't know what's canon anymore. That's the problem.
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
what's canon.
Yeah.
Disney.
Well, yeah, that was one thing that was always cool about Star Wars that they didn't do with Star Trek, because I read a lot of Star Trek books when I was younger. All right, and there's no rigid timeline in the Star Trek universe. Like you can do whatever the hell you want. Whereas with Star Wars, it was always like everything has to follow, everything has to be part of the same story. Yeah, even though they didn't always do it, at least it was supposed to. You know what I mean?
No,
and then the first thing they do is like, nope, we're getting rid of all that. And it's like, oh.
Now you close your eyes and throw a dart. Okay.
Now you got boards where they're trying to put it all back together again because they've dismantled it so bad that I feel like Star Wars is kind of like where Terminator wound up. Like it's just devoid of ideas at this point. They wrote themselves into a corner to where they can't expand on it.
And it's the same thing over and over again. Like with Force Awakens. Right. I mean, freaking. I personally even think The Last Jedi was like a pseudo knockoff of Return of the Jedi. I mean,
it is.
So many
Empire
things.
Strikes Back,
It was
but
like so it's like Empire Strikes Back in reverse.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I walked out of there. I was just like, these guys really don't have any more ideas. Because then I even called this too. I said, I bet you anything we end up at some random forest planet in the last.
And they did, dude.
And
right in
they
the trailer.
did.
Right in the trailer, I was like, well, there's that again. And I got ratioed so bad when I did my trailer reaction for that. And that's when I just stopped doing Star Wars videos.
Oh, here's not Endor.
They ratioed me over my trailer reaction. I'm like, well, how do you expect me to react to this? I'm like, I'm seeing the same thing that I've seen over and over again. Like, you're devoid of ideas at this point. You're not going to explore anything different because you blew it in the last movie. You wrote yourself into a corner.
Because like even just the thematics of like the Death Star being there, like sure, but like the fact that they thought that they destroyed Palpatine, and then he comes back in the last movie and we have to destroy him again. That's the same exact freaking plot as the Return of the Jedi. And I'm sitting there thinking they literally have just lost all touch.
I mean, even though a lot of people didn't like Force Awakens, you got to admit it at least ended on a cliffhanger that happened on a literal cliff, which I thought was kind of meta. I kind of liked that. But at least it was fun for those couple of years to speculate where they were going to go with it. We weren't like, instead of us like all bitching at each other about, oh, this movie sucks, it's woke and all that, we were speculating about, oh, I have a Snoke theory, I have this and all that. And for some reason, Rian Johnson took that shit so personal. And I think it had too much of an effect on what he wrote. He's like, well, I'm not going to let those guys win. And that's the movie that we got.
It's funny because I've always loved Star Wars, but it was Force Awakens that made me into a really huge fan. And I don't even like that movie. I had to know. I had to know who Rey was. I had to be
excited about something new.
Yeah. And I was I was up until 2:00 in the morning, multiple nights, every month, talking to someone across the country, just like, what is going on? And then they would like show me all these books or all these whatever. And that was when I dove into the EU, which is great. Like, I'm sure that's what they wanted to do, maybe, is reinvigorate fans or new fans into this next trilogy. Good job. You got me. But the thing is that I was still mad about the biggest problem I had with Force Awakens actually was the fact that there's this First Order. The Empire's gone, but now there's First Order, and they're 10 times more powerful than the Empire.
Where did they come from?
Because the scroll said so.
I know, but not only that, there were people like, have you played this video game? And have you read this book? And that made me so mad.
I don't like that. I don't like that stuff.
I hate that. But I ended up being that person, and guess what it was? It was nothing. It was just like, oh, and then the First Order. That's it. That's all that's mentioned. I'm like, that was a waste of time. But
I read that book. It was terrible.
But essentially,
who's the idiot that wrote that got fired from?
Was that Chuck Wendig?
Yeah, that was Chuck Windbag. Yeah.
Listen. I'll fly herkily jerkily, my TIE fighter, drunkenly wibbly wobbly, and my fucking way all the way to the unemployment line.
And that's something I've said before. Just briefly going back to something that was mentioned. Despite all the things that Disney's done to canon and character. I think their most heinous crime out of all of it was what they did to the fan base.
Yeah,
Because
split it.
10 years ago, if I like nerd, if I mentioned this on Echo Base Network, if I saw nerd, if I saw you like I don't know Walmart or something, you're wearing an Empire shirt, I could strike a conversation. We could talk about like Dagobah and like just random Star Wars shit. But now, if I'm out in public and I see someone with a Star Wars shirt, it's like fuck. If I talk to them about it, it's going to be like, well, what side do you fall on? Do you like the new stuff or do you not? And then it's just it's an eggshell.
You know what?
discussion
Even
now.
before Disney, Sal. Even before Disney Star Wars, we could still like you could disagree about the prequels, but you always had those original movies that you could agree with somebody on. You know,
Right.
like you could laugh about the prequels not being good or not liking the prequels or whatever. I like them. I love them actually, but I do admit they have flaws. And the older I
Oh,
get,
yeah.
the more they show. But
Yeah.
I still love them. You know what I mean? But I still respect people that don't love them. With this last one, it's like you said, Sal. It's like if you disagree, if you didn't like The Last Jedi, you're immediately an istophobe. It's not like, why didn't you like the movie? It's like, well, you must be one of them.
It's almost like this trilogy has tainted the original trilogy, for me at least.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I feel like the whole reason why Kathleen Kennedy didn't want to use the original characters was because she was afraid of that. At least I would be afraid of that. So I would imagine that's why she didn't want to do it in the begin with, because those are untouchable people.
Right.
Yep.
And then when fans said, no, we want those, bring them in. And then they did. Not to mention Harrison Ford was kind of like a whiny baby about it.
Well, Harrison
I
Ford's
wasn't
a-
surprised
Harrison
when they
Ford's a
killed
dick.
him off because he's always hated.
He's a
being-
dick.
he's been
I
trying
mean-
to-
He
I
really,
accept
he
it.
really is.
I hate
And-
Star Wars.
and
Fuck this. I don't
especially-
want to do this. Jesus.
Especially he got he crashed his plane like not too long after or before that or
Yeah,
whatever.
broke
So he
his
was
hip or
definitely in a
something.
bad mood. And he's just like, I definitely don't want to do this. And then the fans were like demanding it. And he's the one apparently who said like, yeah, but just kill off my character. So screw Harrison Ford. But what I'm trying to say is that like,
I agree.
thank you.
He's not my type.
He's not.
The only reason
Not that
Harrison
there's
Ford
anything
came
wrong
back
with
to Han
that.
Solo- the only reason he came back to Star Wars is because he pretty much like had to blackmail Disney to give him Indiana Jones 5. That's what he really wanted.
Yeah, I don't even want that, dude. Knock it off.
Yeah.
No, he came back to Star Wars because of them greenbacks. You know damn
Yeah.
well.
It's all about the
I
Benjamin,
Oh yeah,
baby.
that too. But he still wanted, like I said, he doesn't love Han Solo. He does generally love Indiana Jones. He does. He does.
doesn't?
And yes, he needed his career.
Beep boop beep.
Is he beep booping or is that me?
Yep, he's beep booping.
Okay. All right. No, I completely no. I there's so many. I don't know where to take this whole thing on. That's what she said. No, I just like I want to go to what Nerdy was saying about the legacy characters. Yeah, that is a tall order. I mean, you've basically your big three. You've got Leia, Luke, and Han, and then your more ancillaries of Chewie. And
You got a point though. I wish they
Lando.
would have left the new characters out.
And that's
just
kind of
to-
what I was just gonna
to
ask.
save
is,
their
like,
legacy. Yeah,
would
I'd
you
be
have
fine
wanted
if
a
they would have
trilogy
left them
without
out. And if they would have left them, what I thought they were going to do was what they did with Star Trek, the first Star Trek movie with J.J. Abrams,
Yeah,
which I don't hate. Okay, I actually like that movie.
I
All
love
right.
that movie.
It's a
But what
better
they did is they had Leonard Nimoy sign off on the new characters to give them legitimacy, and that's what I thought they were going to do with this new character. It seemed like they were going to do that, but then that whole second movie told us otherwise.
Well,
Like,
I actually
why
thought
you go and do that? You know,
I actually expected that because J.J. Abrams also did the 2009 Star Trek movie.
correct, and I think that's
And-
what he would have done too. In
Yeah.
a realistic world, Luke would have trained Rey, maybe even sacrificed himself for her, you know, and then Rey would have had some legitimacy, you know. But
Yeah,
instead,
before the
he's
movie
just-
ended, I'm like, I bet that's what happens. I bet
Yeah.
we only see Luke for just a minute. We don't even see Han, and then we saw a lot of Han. I was like, yeah, this is weird for J.J. Abrams. And then for him to do that, and that was when I was under the impression that he was going to be taking on all of it, because I didn't care about the Star Wars universe because I was happy where I was, and then they had to make me have all those question marks, and that was what both killed me and got me into the universe.
See, I thought they were going to do, and one of you will be able to tell me for sure which one it is. What is it, Star Trek 6 or the first New Generation movie? where like the original cast, like Scott and all of them, are brought back for the first 10 minutes and they're killed off. That's what I thought was
that
going to
Generations. Yeah.
Generation,
I
yeah.
thought that they were going to be like, all right, Falcon's yours now. Good.
I
Yeah.
would have been okay with that. I would have been okay if the characters would have died in a way that would have been consistent with their characters.
Yeah, like betrayed by someone.
Right.
I don't know.
Han Solo's death didn't upset me one bit.
Me neither.
I did not have a problem with that. It was what they did to Luke that really irritated me. Like really, really irritated me, because it wasn't just that you killed the character off. It's that you killed his legacy as well. You killed what he represented. You know, you're saying that his sacrifice was meaningless, and you really made it meaningless when you brought back Pumpernickel, Palpatine. You know, it's like now his sacrifice meant nothing.
Emperor
You know,
Fruit Pulp himself.
Well, I don't mean to be bearer of bad news, but I gotta head out. I appreciate you guys.
No.
Letting me. I know.
thanks for
I'm
joining
sorry.
us. We
Hey,
appreciate
yep,
the conversation.
I
Thank you,
appreciate
guys.
you coming on, man, and thanks for jumping
Let me
into
subscribe to your
jumping
page
into the
right
Lion's
there.
Den here. I would say a Christian in the Lion's Den, but you're a Mormon in the Lion's Den today, so you know.
Hey, Mormons believe in Jesus just as well. I mean, I don't know. Like, we're not going to talk
By
about
the
it.
way,
I'm
guys,
just busting balls,
if you're
brother.
not aware, Nerdy Blurb does a lot of graphics works. He made the intro. He also redesigned my logo. He does that. He does a really good job. Gives you a pretty fast turnaround. Definitely hit him up on Twitter.
I'm probably going to
Hey.
hit you up on that because the logo for my channel is, you can tell I didn't try. So
well,
Yep,
well,
we're-
thanks. I just love doing. Thanks so much for subscribing. All of the people who just did. So
That was me.
Yep,
Yeah,
I
I
subbed your channel earlier too, man.
well, thanks. As people might know, I don't really make a lot of content. Only when I feel like it. But we're making some really cool stuff here. I just like making stuff. So yeah, if you do have an intro or logo or whatever, you can hit me up. But my whole channel is completely solely based on what you guys are doing here, working with other channels. So if you guys ever wanted to do that, you can hit me up.
outstanding.
Absolutely, man.
Sweet.
And you know, you've got the invite to come back whenever you're free, man. Absolutely, love to
Yep.
have you back on, bro.
Cool.
And I'll be we'll be in touch because, like I said, I'm gonna have you do an intro package for me. Like you said, I know you said you've watched a couple of my videos. You've probably suffered through them. That's all right. As painful as they are to watch, they are twice as painful to make. So
Make sure you thumbs up his Batwoman.
Wah. No, I'm just kidding.
the Batwoman review, I don't care. I'm in love with that damn short.
Hold on, let me call the
Australian lesbian now,
ambulance.
So I'll take a
You know,
Whataburger
it was
for French
more fun
fries.
when it was torture, man.
It's not
You weren't supposed
torture
to fall-
anymore.
You were supposed to fall in love with her. I made multiple accounts to get those videos up, and now you just love them.
I do. People love them. But all right, Nerdy Blurb TV, thank you so much for joining us this evening, and we hope to have you back on sometime in the near future, brother.
Thank you guys.
My
Nice to
pleasure,
meet y'all.
sir.
Nice
Yeah,
to see you,
brother.
Raiders.
Thank you,
We'll
man.
see you later.
Peace out.
All right, well, that was
Okay, great. Now we got to come up with our own content.
Oh, we actually have a whole other outline that we haven't even scraped
Yeah.
on yet. That was just our
Yeah,
first.
we never
topic,
left the
dude.
first one.
I mean, hell, I think no, that was exactly why I put the Star Wars stuff up front, because I wanted this to happen, and this was a damn good episode thus far.
Or
I
I guess
mean,
first two, High Republic and Palpatine.
yeah, that's what we got.
Oh,
through.
that's right. That was two subjects. Okay, cool.
My
Yep.
1,200 milligrams of ibuprofen are finally kicking in.
It sounds like I'm just getting started. This
I'm
is where the fun
finally-
begins.
Yeah, I'm finally moving out of, like, the last 30 minutes I've been moving out of my brain fog, finally.
Hey, Chris, see you, Chris Wicks. Thank you for stopping in, brother. We appreciate
I don't even
it.
have a
Chris
migraine,
Wick,
Sal.
before you leave, please go look at my Ninja Turtle movies. There's weapons that I don't know the names of. I need your help. Thank you. That's all
Oh
I have.
yeah. But let's see. Wait, manliness. Oh, you were banned on Facebook, manliness. I thought I saw you mention something about you got something reported the other day, but
What was it? Your Harvey Weinstein song?
he says he's not. I don't think he's done with that. Is he not done with that one yet?
I was expecting that song to be a lot dirtier than it really was.
I know, right? But
Pretty
it's still
tame,
kinda
bro.
catchy.
If you got banned for that, I'm sorry, but then again, there is some shenanigans going on. Did you see that World Class Bullshitters couldn't share their video today on Facebook?
No.
Yeah,
No.
Facebook would not allow them to share their video, and I tried to share it in my group. I couldn't. The only thing I could do, I could share his Twitter post about it.
He released a new video.
Yeah, he did a video about Onward, which has their first openly LGBTQ character.
Yeah.
And he's not allowed to share that video on Facebook.
Jesus.
Yeah, he
know that.
doesn't have that ability. They didn't strike his content because there's nothing in it that's offensive. But for whatever reason, Facebook will not allow him to share that video. So check that. On a shameless plug for World Class Bullshitters, like he needs it. But hey, there you go.
That's all right. We'll throw Jeff. Jeff is extremely good to our channel.
You know I love you, Jeff.
So,
I'm just fucking with you.
He's good to our channel. So I have no I have no problem.
But seriously, Jeff, you don't need our help. God damn.
156,000 subscribers. He's doing all right.
You're doing fine.
Right.
Yeah, you're way out of the low rent apartments now.
See, that's if like I said, man. If the Phantom Menace is Coruscant, he's up there up top. We're down in the bars where the dudes are selling.
1313.
They're selling death sticks.
Yep.
I'll take two, my man. I'll take two.
Well,
My neighbors
they're
are hooked
selling
on death sticks.
They're not only selling death sticks, but we can't afford them.
No, we can't afford them yet. I had to rob the dude.
Goddamn Jawas stripped my car again.
I gotta walk around the fucking lower levels and ask for a fucking Lucy.
That was a bitch because there ain't no stores around here. So when I was joking, when I was like, hey, go up to the store because there was one gas station in Big Rapids that you could walk in where I lived before, and you could walk in there and you could get Lucy's. It wasn't a gas station. It was a party store. All right. I'm not gonna say who owned it because you already know. You already know who owned it. There was Indians that owned it, and you walk in and you would ask for Lucy, and he had a thing behind the counter, a big ass Ziploc bag, and it was like basically a grab bag of fucking cigarettes, and he'd sell you like 3 for $1.
So death sticks, gotcha.
Yep. But I don't.
You want to rethink your life?
Yeah, you don't want to buy these for me. You want to go and rethink your life. So I think we can skip the Catpan Mediocre and Cavil stuff.
Oh, thank God.
Absolutely.
What I do want to talk about though is the Invisible Man.
Yes.
That's fine.
I want to talk about that because it's like I don't know how many of you guys used to watch. I used to watch David Letterman when he had the tonight. It was at the Late Show.
Mm.
All right, I love David Letterman from the time I was a kid. His stand-up comedy and his late night show was him and Paul Schaefer had a great dynamic. I would never really watch when he had the guests on unless it was somebody I really liked. I would watch his monologue and the shit him and Paul Schaefer would do, and Alan Coulter, their announcer at the beginning of the show. Little gags they would do leading into their first guest. And he used to have this segment called Will It Float? Okay, so instead of Will It Float tonight, we have Is It Woke? So I
was wondering where you were going with that segue.
The Is It Woke version of Will It Float right here. So Groove, what say you on this? Has Alex and Sal, have you gone to see this movie yet?
Don't worry, I won't
sorry,
spoil it.
seen
I'm not going
what?
to spoil anything.
Invisible Man.
I've not
I
seen
have
it.
Not. I don't have to. I've gleaned enough about it from the previews.
Okay, yeah,
I do want to see it,
Nothing,
but I haven't
nothing
seen it
negative.
yet.
It is. I've seen enough about the previews to kind of figure out how this movie's going to go.
kind of piece it together.
Yeah, and it looks good. Don't get me wrong.
Yep.
I had mentioned earlier what the movie's about, and then what it's actually about. And I won't go into what I think it's actually about because that'll be spoiler territory.
We can talk about that off air if you want. Yeah. Alex and I are big Universal horror fans, aren't we? Yeah. I don't know, Alex. Are you big into the Invisible Man? Or are you more like?
I like Invisible Man, but I haven't seen this remake yet. I want to, but I haven't seen it yet.
So, did you see Hollow Man when that one came out?
Years ago.
Yep.
How did you feel about that one?
Cody says, "Invisible Man, what? Where?"
Well, that's
Oh,
interesting
man.
that you said that, Cody, because there's a lot of people out there right now, and you guys know I don't do interchannel drama, so you guys probably know who I'm talking about. If that's fine, don't draw any attention to it because I don't have any animosity towards people that say this, but there are people out there that are saying that the Invisible Man is woke because there's no Invisible Man in the trailer. Motherfuckers, he's invisible.
So,
Okay.
That's not a legit complaint, is it?
So this movie is about the victim because the victim is the only one that is able to figure out that the person who is stalking her is invisible and nobody believes her. Now, let me ask you this. Have you guys seen movies like Unlawful Entry, Sleeping with the Enemy?
Yep.
Take one of those movies and enter a person who can become invisible into that equation. That is what The Invisible Man is. It's a 90s thriller with the Invisible Man as not the good guy, not the protagonist, because in the H.G. Wells original, I'm not going to get all long-winded about this because it's, we're an hour and 48 minutes into the podcast, but in the H.G. Wells novel, the Invisible Man, Griffin, is not a good guy. He's a bad guy. It was the James Whale movie, the original 1933 classic that came out from Universal, that made him an idealist that, as a side effect of the serum that he created to make him invisible, made him mad. Like it drove him to madness. Also, his inability to reverse the process. In the book, it was more or less he became drunk with power because of all of the things that he can do while being invisible made him a bad person, because he simply could do all the things that, man doesn't allow you to do, because you get caught doing things. When you're invisible, you can get away with anything. So you have to ask yourself the question, if you could become invisible, would you be a good guy or would you be a bad guy? Would you be tempted to be a bad guy? Would you be tempted to do dishonest things? That's the question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was rhetorical. I was going to answer your question.
No, go ahead and answer the question. I'm serious. Yeah.
Knowing myself as well as I do, because I do a lot of introspective looking, I would want to be a good person. Like, I would want to use it for good things. But I know that over time, the temptation would be too great, and I'd shoplift something, or I would,
Right. Also, think of the fact that if you got into a position to where you could... Now, this doesn't pertain to this movie, so I'm not spoiling anything. I'm talking about the original 1933 James Whale directed. If you guys don't know James Whale, he's the same guy that directed Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein, probably Universal's most classic movies ever. Those movies have held up perfectly. They're flawless movies, all right? The Invisible Man is pretty good, but not quite as good as Frankenstein. I'll say that much, okay? But I love The Invisible Man, the original movie, but I prefer the Frankensteins. But, he's unable to reverse the process. So, Sal, if you wanted to be good at first, but then you could never be seen again, wouldn't you maybe get cynical and upset later because you couldn't have a normal relationship? And
absolutely.
It would drive you crazy. Yeah. In the movie, it literally drives him crazy as a side effect.
Yeah,
it was something
anything.
What they did in the original movie was he based all of his material to make himself invisible off of something that they did with dogs. Okay. And what it is the research that he read was an out of print edition, and a reprinted edition that he was not aware of determined that the serum that the chemical that they used, the plant, whatever it was, drove their subjects insane. So the fact that he had out of date data means that he made himself insane. All right, that's what the movie did. That's not what the book did.
Gotcha.
So this particular movie, Elizabeth, I'm trying to remember the name right now. Elizabeth Moss. Okay, she's in an abusive relationship. The guy that's stalking her is her I think it's boyfriend or husband, which I can't remember because it's been a couple days since I've seen it. But he's a really rich guy, and he's top in his field of optics. So his name is Griffin, all right, like the original Invisible Man. You open up, she's trying to get away from him, okay? And he's stalking her, all right? There is a reason why he's stalking her, but I'm not going to reveal that because that would be genuine spoiler material. But what I do want to talk about is this movie woke because it's called Invisible Man, and Elizabeth Moss is the focus of the story.
What were they going to call it? Elizabeth Moss and the Curious Case of the Invisible Man or something? Like,
well, that's just it. I mean, would you call it, the victim of the Invisible Man or not the Invisible Man? You're not going to call it. Yeah,
that's when you're moving into fucking like 70s grindhouse territory when you call it the victim of the Invisible Man, because that's like the 8th sequel.
You know what I mean? So it's like they were able to do. This movie's really good. All right, I'm not going to talk all day about how good the movie is or why you should go see it. There's a video on my channel. You can go check out my review and see whether or not you want to see it. But I thought it was a really fun thriller. It's a real good movie to go with like a group of people or take a date to. If you like horror movies, cool. If you like thrillers, cool. If you like science fiction, cool. This is directed by the same guy that did Upgrade. You guys familiar with that movie?
Upgrade, like UPGRAYYYYD from Idiocracy?
No. No, there's a movie that came out a couple years called Upgrade. A lot of people compared it to Venom because it was a very similar story. Yeah, he did. Also, he was co-writer of the original Saw with James Wan. I know you've seen Saw. At least somebody in here has seen Saw. Anybody?
I've seen every single one of them.
I used to see Saw a lot when I was a kid.
Okay, well, this is the guy that helped James Wan write that. Okay, so he's very good. He does a lot with a low budget. He's a very visual storyteller. There's not like a lot of exposition in here. I thought it was paced well. I thought the acting was fantastic. But that's not what I want to talk about. What I talk about is this movie woke? And I'm saying no, because there's a lot of things that don't add up. And this article right here kind of proves my point. This is our friends abounding into comics. CBR writer Ronaldo claims The Invisible Man more toxic and dangerous than Todd Phillips' Joker. So, CBR writer Ronaldo declared that upcoming The Invisible Man starring Elizabeth Moss is more toxic and dangerous than Todd Phillips' Joker film. In this article titled Invisible Man is already more toxic than Todd Phillips' Joker, Matadine makes his argument solely based on the film's first trailer. To give you some backgrounds, now the trailer is the same reason why certain people in our circle are saying this movie looks woke. So it can't be both things, is what I'm getting at. To give you some background, The Invisible Man is an adaptation of the classic H.G. Wells novel. In the novel, a man named Griffin invents a way to become invisible and concocts a plan to reign terror in England. Using his newfound ability, his plan is foiled by Dr. Kemp, and Griffin is savagely beaten to death by a number of villagers who corner him. In the upcoming film, the trailer reveals that Cecilia Cass, played by Elizabeth Moss, flees from a secluded mansion, seeming in fear for her life. There's even a shot of her partner, Adrian, punching in a car window as he attempts to track her down. While this scene is being played out, a lawyer reveals that Adrian committed suicide by cutting his wrists. According to his will, Cass will receive $5 million if she's not ruled to be mentally incompetent. However, it appears that Adrian is actually alive and has found a way to become invisible. He uses his ability to toy with Cass in an attempt to make her feel like she's losing her mind and that those around her believe her mental stability is deteriorating. Matadine takes issues with what the trailer shows us a plot describing it as a misogynist. Matadine adds, "This is a movie about controlling a woman and gaslighting her to the point where she thinks she's insane. It's very tone deaf given the male-dominated and at times chauvinistic society we live in, where some men do seem to think they have ownership over women's bodies. We see it in brands, the corporate and business world, and the entertainment industry, which is known to objectify women's bodies. So why should a man like Adrian own Cecilia's mind? It's another distasteful plot of a man wanting to have power over an innocent woman." Look, guys, I don't know if you've ever known anybody that's been in an abusive relationship. You can't pretend like this shit doesn't happen. I've known people, men and women, that have been in abusive relationships.
I've been in one.
You've been in one. So you know exactly how scary this shit is. You know how scary when you have somebody that's talking to your friends and telling them one story when there's two different truths, their truth, your truth, and the real truth.
Exactly. It's one of those where, and the people in those relationships, having been in one, the abuser, because it's you see it in everyday life as well. They get their story out first, and so you're on the defense every fucking time. So it's one of those things where they can do whatever they want to you, but then they'll, run behind your back and tell, oh, this happened, so everyone believes them first because now you're on defense. So anything you say is trying to defend yourself, or it sounds like a lie, or making excuses, because people tend to believe the first thing they hear. So, and
that's exactly what's going on in this movie. It's people, but what my point is, if it's woke, first of all, why are blue check marks like this Matadine person finding it toxic and saying it's worse than Joker? If it is woke, they should be defending this, correct? And calling us a bunch of istophobes. We didn't like it. I mean, we already read the charts. This was number one over the weekend, all right? And most of that's just plain old-fashioned word of mouth. Because I know a lot of people that watch trailer that didn't think it looked that great. And there is an argument to be had that I agree with, okay? We are so beaten down by all these woke reboots that we're just waiting for the next one. But my point is if you look at everything that way, like you can kind of tell when some of them aren't, but if you look at everything that way, then you absolutely are the istophobes that these people accuse you of being. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yep. What I'm saying is make up your own decisions, man. This is a good movie. Also, if it was woke, one of her support units in this movie is a single father that isn't gay. So if this was a woke movie, that would be quite the opposite. Or the victim would be a gay lover. These things don't add up. Okay, it can't be both things. Either it's woke or it isn't. I'm telling you, it's not. Okay, so you can make your own assumptions. If anybody else has seen it, I'll be glad to discuss it with you. I'll be glad to argue with you about it. But I thought it was a really well done movie. It's so far one of my favorite movies that I've seen this year, because I think that angle of being stalked and gaslighted makes it a lot scarier, because it's real. She knows it's real. Elizabeth Moss is really smart in this movie. Like, she's not your typical final girl. She figures this shit out. It's just, who the hell would you convince that somebody has found a way to convince them to make themselves invisible? She even says, like, look, he's a lead in the field of optics. Somehow he found a way. And everybody's like, sure he has. You know what I mean? And they're not cartoonish about it either. It's like they want to believe her, but Griffin is also very methodical in what he does, all right, and how he gets away with these things. So he seems to always be able to cover his steps, and that's what's so fun about the movie. And some of the gripes have been that it's kind of a slow build-up or whatever. A thriller needs to establish tension, all right, and I think this movie is really good at that. So if you're going to a horror movie and you're wanting jump scares, then skip this one and go see Brahms the Boy 2. If you just want fucking jump scares and creepy dolls and dumb shit like that, go see that one. All right. If you want something that's genuinely going to bother you or make you upset or sit on the edge of your seat, go see this one.
There's something to be said about that. I haven't seen this movie, and I probably won't, but I did pick up one of the toys the other day from the movie, actually, and I'd like to share that with you if I can.
Yeah.
So I think they look pretty fucking spot on in terms of like sculpt and the like. So this is my Invisible Man.
You're gonna do that, motherfucker.
Right. Only haters will say it's fake, but he's right here. So it's pretty cool, actually.
But the person, and this is the last thing I'll say about it, because I've got my point across, is literally the person that said this movie is possibly woke is because it's called Invisible Man, and all we see in the trailer is Elizabeth Moss. I'm like, you do realize it's called Invisible Man, not the man we can't quite see, or the man that might become invisible. This is not Hollow Man, okay? This is a different take, and I think this is the way to go about attacking these Universal horror movies. It's proof. The fact that this movie did good is proof that you can make a decent horror movie if you have a script that gives a shit. And this one does. It comes from a place of love. It's really well paced. It's really good. It made me stand around and want to stay and watch all the credits. I wasn't expecting any kind of post-credit anything. I just wanted to see all the people that were involved with it. That's the kind of movie that has good music. If this is where they want to go, and I'm glad, because it's the first, I saw 2 good horror movies this year finally that broke the curse. I saw this one, Colorado Space. Both those reviews are up on my site if you want to watch them, or whatever. But if Blumhouse wants to go this route with their Universal monster movie instead of Dark Universe, I'm cool with it. This is the kind of stuff I like. Just lower budgets, good actors, good performances. Because without Elizabeth Moss, there is no Invisible Man. Without her reacting to something, there's nothing there. So you're literally showing a movie where there is nobody on screen. So of course that's what you're going to see in the trailer, because that's what the movie is. Damn it.
Anyways, there's a couple scenes that leaked on YouTube from it. I watched one of them, and it's not like a big reveal scene or anything. It's just where Elizabeth Moss is in the room with her. It's the other couple that are featured in the movie. They're kind of like helping her. I think the one guy's a cop, him and his girlfriend or wife, and she's sitting there and they're on the floor and they're talking. All of a sudden, you can tell Adrian's in the room because he punches the other girl in the face.
Yeah, okay, that scene. Yeah, that's a pretty pivotal scene. So, because she's on the run and she's staying with friends.
Yep.
And it's I forgot that actor's name, but him and his daughter, and they're a good support unit. I
Was
liked
that his daughter? I didn't know if it was his wife.
That was his daughter. Yeah,
Okay.
I like all of the characters in this movie because they act like actual people. They don't act like they're figureheads for representation. You know what I mean? Like they're not stereotypes. They're actual, genuine characters, and most people genuinely care about her. It's just she's like gradually losing these people out of her life because they think that she's going mad. And she's literally the only one that knows that he's able to do this. And she has to find a way to prove that he exists. And to me, the thought of that is terrifying. You know, You can really wrap your head around that. It's if you and that's why I'm saying this might be like, how we said we were getting sick of 80s movies. Mm-hmm. This might be the 90s movies come back, because you guys remember, Basic Instinct, Unlawful Entry, Sleeping with the Enemy. All those thrillers were coming out like all at the same time, 9.5 weeks. Remember all that stuff?
Yeah.
This is
I remember watching 9.5 weeks on pay-per-view.
This is like one of those, man, but with an invisible man in it.
I'm very I think this looks good. I was kind of, like I said, I never thought this looked woke just from the trailer.
Mm-mm. No, I actually liked that angle. It's because I'm like, okay, well, if you show me from the victim's perspective, that actually makes it scarier.
Yeah, because it's the Invisible Man.
Because the problem that I've always had with every Invisible Man movie that's ever come out is they either try to make him a hero or a comedy character or this tragic figure, and it's like, no, he's an asshole. He's got a way to make himself invisible. He's going to be a bad guy.
Yep.
That started with the the Invisible Woman movie back in the old days.
Even before that, dude, because I got the Invisible Man Universal Classic series that has like all the sequels on there. Son of Invisible Man, or I think it's called The Invisible Man Returns. That had Vincent Price in it, and they made him a good guy. I'm like, what is this?
Vincent Price was playing the Invisible Man, and he was a good guy.
Vincent Price was playing the Invisible Man, and he was a good guy. Yeah.
Invisible Man's supposed to be a heel, not a baby face. What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
He's a heel.
Right, heel. That's the word I was looking for. I was trying to figure out he's so the movie's very much about the Invisible Man, but it's about trying to prove his existence is what I'm getting at. So of course, since Elizabeth Moss is the lead, also you guys remember Jaws? Remember how you didn't see the shark all the time, but you saw the barrels coming up out of the ocean, and the barrels represented where the shark was? Elizabeth Moss represents the Invisible Man being in the room when you see her reacting. Like, she knows. You see it in the trailer. It's like, he's in the room with us. She knows. Nobody else does. And they want to believe her, but they can't. Because logic. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Well, that's good. It sounds like they do it right. I mean, that's why I couldn't understand, because this movie, it seemed to be pretty well received, and then like all of a sudden, like a couple days ago, you're starting to see these videos pop up and like, oh, it's woke, and it's like,
there's a divide. I've seen, because you guys know that when I review a movie, I don't watch any reviews prior to me doing a review, because I don't want stuff that they say spill into my review. If it happens to line up and I say the same things they do, it's because we saw the same things. Because I've watched some reviews prior to going into movies, and I spend most of the movie trying to see what they saw in it, rather than me taking it in for myself and making my own assumptions. You know what I mean? So this is one that I was actually excited about, and I would have been theoretically the most disappointed if it would have been woke. And if it would have been, goddamn well, I would have let you guys know. I'm still hurting from Black Christmas.
I'm going to watch that this week, all right? I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to do a Cleveland it's going to be a Stool Bend review video.
I'll tell you what, if you want to do a review of Black Christmas, you want to bring me in on that, I'll be 100% happy to get that out of my system, because at least I'll be able to talk to somebody that understands what I went through watching that.
I'm going to rent it.
Because I can't get Alex to do it.
I'm going to rent that. Okay, this is how masochistic I am.
Alex makes me go see all the bad movies, but then he don't do it.
Listen, I'm going to watch Black Christmas and Terminator Dark Fate.
Black Christmas is going to hurt a lot worse than Dark Fate, trust me.
Yeah, like I'll watch. I've sat through Genesis and Salvation. I mean, I could sit through Dark Fate. I didn't like either of them. I don't.
Salvation's probably one of the better ones. The only problem with Salvation is just that it's McGee. It had a good script, but they just didn't execute it very well.
I didn't like either of them. I don't know. I didn't like. I mean, part 3 was like.
Genesis is trash. It's just.
I didn't like Genesis. I didn't like them. I didn't like them. I was just like kind of indifferent.
Well, the problem when you watch Dark Fate is you're gonna be like, I've seen this before. I know I've seen this before. Oh yeah, Terminator 2 and 1. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Just recycled stuff.
And 3.
And 3. Oh yeah, and we took elements from. Okay, stop. Right, let me stop you right there. Just stop.
Yeah, let me know what you think of Natalie Reyes' bomb-ass performance in that movie.
Oh yeah.
Woof.
I'm that's the one. She's like the Danny Ramos, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's the little tiny girl that's supposed to be the leader.
Oh no, she's the leader of the resistance.
Yeah, she's the little tiny girl who's the leader of the resistance.
She's the one that's going to tell everybody that they need to not be bad.
One of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yay! Yeah, I've got what is manliness? Is the heart transplant in a field hospital made me laugh. Oh God, a heart transplant in a field.
Last thing I'll say about though is I am glad that it did well over this weekend, because I like it when horror movies on small budgets do really well. That's kind of like what we got from It, and that's why I didn't like It 2 as much. As you could tell, they had a bigger budget and they didn't know what to do with it, and they kind of blundered it a little bit. I wasn't really happy with It 2, but It Chapter 1 was awesome, and it was a really good movie made with a good story at its heart, and a limited budget forces directors to be creative. You know what I mean? So and somebody said it in a interview, one of the channels I watch, Double Toasted, they mentioned that there's a lack of what we call mid-tier movies. And you remember that when they would make like mid-tier movies, it'd be like movies that maybe wouldn't make all the monies at the box office, but people still went to go see them, and it would do, enough to where they wouldn't lose any money on it. They don't do those anymore. Everything at the box office now has to be $150-160 million budget, marketing out the ass, and then when it doesn't do well, it's like, oh, what went wrong? Well, obviously it must be the people's fault.
It's
they don't
the fans'
understand.
fault.
It's the fans' fault. They don't understand, or the coronavirus, or there was another movie out that was better than ours. Damn it,
It was the coronavirus's fault. Did they? I don't remember, because it was like 6 years ago. Did they ever blame Ebola for any movies not doing well?
Not to my knowledge.
I was gonna say I never once heard of Ebola being blamed for movies doing bad. So this coronavirus thing kind of made me laugh. I I understand the why and the reasoning, but it just seems like a lame excuse.
It's funny to me because like you see that shit with Tim Miller right now. It's like you see the finger pointing game, and that stuff is so entertaining to me, dude. Just watching the dumb excuses that they come up with for why these movies failed. It's so funny to me, dude. It's like watching sports, or watching the blooper reel on a comedy movie,
Yeah. Well, that's it seems like, I don't know. Hopefully, like we talked about before, though, a lot of these movies that came out 2019, 2018 were in play and in development and being produced, when this whole woke thing was kind of coming in.
The woke apocalypse.
Around, 2014, 2015, Comicsgate or Gamergate, back in those, that time right there. And then, so it bled over. But
I do think it's funny, though, that Disney has pretty much purchased all of Fox's problems. Have you noticed that? Like all their movies that are flopping are the ones that were developed by 20th Century Fox. It's like, oh, well, now that loses money for you. Have fun with that.
I'm always happy to see the House of Mouse lose a little bit of money. I'm not gonna lie. They got extra. That's
the problem when you own everything. There's nothing else to draw from. There's no creative competition, and
nope.
Eventually they're gonna have to sell all those things off, man, to make ends meet. I'm calling it now. Maybe not now. Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe not 5 years from now. But they'll be selling the shit to somebody else.
Yep, it'll happen. They'll have to start liquidating some of those assets.
They treat all these movies like they're amusement park rides, and it's like, okay, well, we have to make a movie based on something that people recognize. Here's a date, here's some money, now make it happen. And that's not really the natural way that I think things should be done.
No.
And that was kind of what I was trying to tell Nerdy earlier. It's like I kind of am weary of writers' rooms because you get so focused on putting a diverse amount of people in the room that don't really have any science fiction background, and they might be able to write a good story for Dawson's Creek, but not necessarily for Star Wars. And that's why we keep getting all this bullshit ass entertainment.
Yep, and it doesn't. Yeah, that's unsalvageable product they have there. Absolutely. Well, I think this would probably be about a good spot to kind of end it off. This was a great episode, guys. Thank you all for for being on the panel this evening. I'd like to thank everybody in the chat here. We got Lincoln7, he's up in the chat. Manliness and motivation. Talal showed up a little bit. He says, let's see, wait, where's he? He says, Etep Wakune's Place Reviews. Thank you. Inquired also, happy to be here. Sorry if I'm late. Oh, no problem, man. You can catch this on the playback, catch the rest of the goodness. We had a great Star Wars discussion at the beginning of the show with our guest, Nerdy Blurb TV, was gracious enough to come on. And yeah, it's nice and to have somebody who is from outside of the Fandom Menace come in and kind of see that we're really not bad. We're not these snarling, neckbeards that a lot of people pay. And not saying that that's what he thought, but you guys know that's what a lot of the Fandom Menace gets painted as. So,
manliness and motivation said Solo lost money. You know what else lost money, Pete? I read an article, Call of the Wild, a damn movie with Harrison Ford and them damn CG dogs is lost $50 million.
Oh, that's going to lose over 100 by the time it's said and done.
I think so too, dude. I don't think they'll ever quite reveal the total number, but
no.
It's just like we said. They should have just had real damn dogs in there.
They could have turned that into a Disney Plus movie.
Those dogs look terrible in that movie.
Well, they just
CG
released
is
that.
So bad, dude.
Well, Disney just released that other movie, Torgo, I think it was, on their streaming service, which is basically the same fucking movie.
If they weren't rival studios, I could say they could take, Call of the Wild and Doolittle and have like a Blu-ray double release. But, because both those movies suck. But Call of the Wild's not nearly as bad as Doolittle. I'm not going to even remotely put it in the same boat as that. Doolittle's going to wind up on my shit list.
Adam's going to write a love letter to Doolittle eventually. Let's see. So, manliness and motivation, Keely Chow. Talal, we got in the chat. Fanjecture, Goober Brothers Entertainment. Who else was up there? I'm scrolling up here. DKOT Rebels was in the chat earlier on. So thank you to everybody. Chris Wicks was in the chat. Flare X. So we had it was a big show tonight. I'm very happy with it. Hope you guys had fun tonight. Let's go around the horn, though. Let me give the spotlight over to Groove. Groove, what do you got going on this week?
I just did a review for Color Out of Space. Seems to be doing pretty good. Some people wanted me to do a review for Parasite. I did finally watch that. I have some opinions if people are interested in that. This weekend, we're going to be doing on Raiders of the Lost Flicks Live. We decided already last week we're doing Sex Madness because Reefer Madness was so fun that we want to do something similar to that. So that'll be our Friday night watch party, fellas. And then also on my channel Wednesday night, the return of the boardroom will be back on my channel. So, and we'll be covering topics that we didn't hit on this one. So it'll be all different stuff. So that's all I got.
All right, and let's see. Let's go on over to Sal. What do you got going on, Sal?
Not a whole hell of a lot. I am working on a few kind of, I hate to call them this, but a few bullshit little videos for my channel, just some filler, I guess, and because I'm approaching my anniversary on YouTube, so that's kind of my main focus right now, is making a really solid video for that. Not to discredit the ones that are coming up, but they're quick, easy little reviews coming up, and that's about it on my end. So.
All right, and let's go on over. Alex, you got anything coming up?
I will check out Sex Madness first to make sure we can actually watch it online. To my knowledge,
I appreciate that. Yeah, because we don't want people tuning out.
Well, I don't want any boobs to pop up. I mean, I'm not against boobs, but
I don't know. That's pretty old for boobs be popping up, would it be?
Don't discount boobs.
There was nudity in Reefer Madness.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Was there? I missed it.
Yeah, there was a skinny dipping scene.
Was there in Reefer Madness?
Yes,
you sure about that? Because
sure.
I don't remember there being. They must have cut it out then. Yeah, it wasn't in the scene that we were watching.
I didn't see a skinny dipping.
No, because if they would have already struck my channel with it.
Yeah, no, there's a scene where they go to the beach and they all strip down naked and run into the surf.
They definitely cut that out of the copy we watched then.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I rented it.
Damn, we got robbed of the best scene there, Alex.
I rented it in college and I was like whoa. I was like, okay, this is an old movie to be having nudity in
We
it.
had
All
we had a
right.
good turnout for Reefer Madness. House on Haunted Hill, not so much because it was too good of a movie. We realize that now. So
Yeah, and if you guys aren't subscribed to Sal's channel yet, go on over there, subscribe. 2 Cents Toys, check that out. He's got some good videos up, and your last long form video gave a backstory on his on some of his toys and stuff like that. You guys need to check that out, because if you're any kind of toy enthusiast at all, that really kind of hits you right in the feels, because it makes you think about some of the stuff you used to have, and some of the stuff you might still have. So it was really fun watch.
You caught me in the feels when you said that you had lost a few toys, because I had some similar problems with that as well.
I lost almost my entire, like, if you think of it as a percentage, my entire first collection, about 98% of it went in that yard sale.
Oof.
And then 100% of my second collection, minus the few odds and ends, were sold. So it was not a fun time, but
Been there, done that, man. I get it. Everybody has a Rosebud. For me, it's that Generation 1 Jetfire.
mm-hmm.
Love to have that back. Oh,
Yeah. But he's hard to find, and
yes, he is.
They've pretty much guaranteed saying that they won't make any new ones because of the whole Macross and all that.
I'm even willing to buy the Macross, but those things start at like $200. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, damn it. I'll get one of these days, though. I'm going to break down and get one. I'm okay with getting the Macross version.
All right, well, let's see here. Let me click this bad boy on. So what have I got going on? Well, tomorrow night, back for episode number 2, will be Pete Daddy Dollar's pad right here, the Wrestling Fire. Jesus Christ, I'm reading comments. It says Jetfire and Optimus, manliness and motivation. Wrestling podcast.
The weed talking.
That and the wine and the edibles and everything else. I'm fucking exhausted right now too.
You'll pass out in mid plug.
I almost did earlier. I've got another video coming up tomorrow. Let's see, what am I going to do tomorrow? I might talk about Meghan Markle tomorrow, and Meghan Markle is shopping for a superhero role at Marvel.
Who the fuck is she? I don't know.
She is the dude.
She's
married to what is his name?
Harry.
Prince Harry. And
okay. Now
who was Prince Harry begging for work for her, doing voiceover? Bob Iger. He was talking to Bob Iger at a party, going, "Yeah, Megan wants to do voiceover work," and I'm just like,
slurp.
Yep. So
slurp,
I'm gonna do a video about Meghan Markle, and tomorrow, and her looking for a Marvel role. And we got the wrestling podcast tomorrow night, the super terrific happy fun time wrestling show, aka Pete Daddy Dollar's pad, right here at 8:35 Eastern. Then Wednesday night I'll be over on Groovinator's channel for the boardroom at around 8:30 Eastern on Wednesday night. Thursday I'm just gonna do a video, take the day off. Friday night I'll be back on Raiders of the Lost Flicks, and by Saturday I'll probably be dead. So that's what I got going on the rest of this week. So anybody else have anything to add before we
is anybody gonna see any movies this weekend? The only two that are coming out is Selba or Seba or something like that, and something with a Kristen Stewart movie, and Onward, the one that we were talking about earlier with the LGBTQ character in there.
I might go see Onward. Like I saw the preview. It actually looks fun.
It looks like a good
does.
movie. Yeah, I'll probably go see that even if people don't vote me to. But the Kristen Stewart movie, only if people want me to. Ugh.
I'm not.
I'm gonna try and make time to go see Sonic finally.
There you go.
You won't be disappointed, man.
I was about to say the Invisible Woman. I would try to see the Invisible Man.
If you see the Invisible Man, I'd love to talk to you about it, because that's one of those movies that's not just fun to watch; it's fun to talk about it. You know what I mean? So cool.
And Leo Red says I'm back. He comes back right for the tail end of the stream here. He came back. Tail end. Where's R. Kelly? Where's that Kevin Spacey?
Keely Chow's comment. You need to highlight.
I'm gonna highlight that.
You know what, Keely Chow, we're gonna write that down in our dirty book of Black Secrets somewhere, and we're gonna bring that up every time. We're gonna haunt you with that. For the
Hang
rest
on
of
a
your life,
second.
sir.
Wait, hang on. Let me get this out right here. Here's what I'll do. We'll just do this. Let's take a picture of the screen right here. There we go.
There you go. Yeah.
We got it now.
We own you now. We own you.
Oh God.
Next time you have a job interview. No, I'm just kidding.
So thank everybody in the chat for joining us. I'd like to thank our guest, Dirty Blurb TV. Those you catch this on the playback, he's here for the first almost hour and a half of the show, which he was only supposed to be on for an hour. So I really like to thank him for sticking around a little bit longer. But we were having such a good discussion that it was, you could tell everybody was having a good discussion. We were into it. It was fun.
Exit only.
So, oh, this has been episode 91 of the Place to Be Reviews. I am Etep Okuyan, and I have been here with all the yous. And what do I say at the end of every video? I say it right now. If I don't see ya, have a great day and a pleasant tomorrow. Sleep tight. Don't let the ruby rose bite.
Ragnarok still sucks.
Ragnarok. Fuck.